Chapter 1329. Secret. Don't you think that it's a little too late to leave now? Ningyu stood on the spot with his eyes brimming with vigor, but he did not make a move. Whoosh. Although Ningyu did not make a move, the primordial spirit battle physique had already made a move. Once it made a move, it would be shocking. The primordial spirit battle physique swiftly caught up to the 5th grade Earth Sovereign in the blink of an eye with a terrifying killing aura enveloping him. What are you trying to do? The 5th grade Earth Sovereign panicked. He knew that he wouldn't be able to escape from the primordial spirit battle physique. Floating in the sky, the 5th grade Earth Sovereign looked at Ningyu and said, "I can tell you some secrets, but you have to let me go." The 5th grade Earth Sovereign was clear that the primordial spirit battle physique would listen to Ningyu's orders. As long as Ningyu gave an order, he would definitely be devoured. As long as Ningyu didn't give an order, the primordial spirit battle physique wouldn't kill him. The crucial point was Ningyu. "I've already erased the things on the talisman. Now, you can write something." Ningyu did not reply to the 5th grade Earth Sovereign's words. He took the talisman from the scarred wolf and said, "Jin Yeming and Jin Yi's deaths should be related to Danzhong." The 5th grade Earth Sovereign was smart, so he instantly knew what Ningyu was thinking. Framing. Ningyu wanted to frame Jin Yi and Jin Yeming's deaths on Danzhong and make Danzhong fight with the Jin family, killing with a borrowed knife. A terrifying thought flashed in the 5th grade Earth Sovereign's mind. "I'll write it." Gritting his teeth, the 5th grade Earth Sovereign separated a wisp of his primordial spirit and wrote something on the talisman. Receiving the talisman, Ningyu examined it seriously. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with the talisman, Ningyu threw it into the sky and pointed his finger out. Crack. In an instant, the talisman shattered and sparkles of light tore through space and disappeared. "Can you let me go now?" The 5th grade Earth Sovereign's face was pale. In order to survive, he had betrayed the Jin clan and sent them false information. Once this matter was known by the higher-ups of the Jin family, he would definitely suffer. "It's not that I can't let you go, but I want to know if your Jin family has any orthodoxy in the Void Mystery Land." Ningyu pondered for a moment before asking one last question. He wanted to know everything about the Jin family in the Void Secret Realm. The space inside the Emptiness Secret Realm is very special. It's fine to stay here for a short period of time, but it's very difficult to stay here for a long time. The 5th grade Earth Sovereign seemed to have calmed down and said, "The Jin clan doesn't have any orthodoxy in the Void Secret Realm, but they do have a stronghold. Every time a powerful Earth Sovereign enters the Void Secret Realm, they would head to that stronghold." "What's in the stronghold?" Ningyu asked without batting an eyelid. He wanted to be a great pirate. Heavenly treasures, various divine medicines, and terrifying demonic beasts. The 5th grade Earth Sovereign did not conceal anything. Restricted by the rules of the Void Secret Realm, even a powerful clan like the Jin clan couldn't leave any orthodoxy behind. However, they were unwilling to give up. Every time they entered the Void Secret Realm, they would head to a place and build a huge palace. Rumor had it that the palace not only contained all kinds of heavenly treasures, but also an extremely powerful creature. As for whether it was true or not, the 5th grade Earth Sovereign had no way of knowing. A palace? Ningyu frowned. He was wondering if he should head to that place to have a look. Right now, he lacked all kinds of origin crystals and elixirs. If he could get his hands on the magical treasures and elixirs in the palace, it would be of great help to his future cultivation. Now's the time. Seeing that Ningyu was in a daze, the 5th grade Earth Sovereign's eyes shot out a cold light and his Yuanshan quickly rushed out. Whether he could kill Ningyu or not, it all depended on this. If he succeeded, he would escape from the Void Secret Realm and find another expert to possess. If he failed, he would die. Facing the 5th grade Earth Sovereign, Ningyu did not make a move. Instead, he let out a cold snort. Swish. Swish. Although Ningyu did not make a move, two figures did. The first to make a move was the Yuanshan battle physique. He quickly rushed out to stop the 5th grade Earth Sovereign. The second to make a move was the scarred berserk wolf. He would not allow anyone to kill Ningyu, because if Ningyu died, the seal in his body would become unstable and he would be controlled by the Jin clan again. The scarred berserk wolf was now on Ning Yu's side. Being controlled by Ning Yu was better than being controlled by the Jin clan's experts. Pucci. Both the Yuanshan battle physique and the scarred berserk wolf were stronger than the 5th grade Earth Sovereign. Naturally, the 5th grade Earth Sovereign would not be able to escape from their joint attack. The scarred berserk wolf threw a punch at the 5th grade Earth Sovereign's Yuanshan, causing it to tremble. Swish. The Yuanshan battle physique opened its mouth and devoured the 5th grade Earth Sovereign's Yuanshan. Not only was the Yuanshan battle physique powerful, but it also had a fatal restraining effect on the Yuanshan. After devouring the Yuanshan of Jin Yi and the 5th grade Earth Sovereign, the Yuanshan battle physique swept its gaze across the Jin clan's experts. You can't kill us. Our Jin clan has sent 2 forces into the Void Secret Realm, and our group is the weakest. The other 5th grade Earth Sovereign exclaimed in fear, fearing that Ning Yu would make a move and devour him with his primordial spirit battle physique. Tell me about the other group. Ning Yu did not make a move immediately. The Jin clan's experts before him were already heaven-defying, and Jin Yi was even a 7th grade Earth Sovereign. But there was another group that was stronger than Jin Yi. For a moment, Ning Yu pondered a lot. The death of Jin Yemeng shouldn't have caused the Jin clan to send out so many experts. According to Ning Yu's estimation, there should be a peerless treasure in the Void Secret Realm. The other group is all peerless experts. The weakest among them is a 5th grade Earth Sovereign, while the strongest is a 8th grade Earth Sovereign. The tall 5th grade Earth Sovereign immediately explained, there are 2 reasons why we entered the Void Secret Realm. First, we came for Jin Yemeng's death. Second, we came for a treasure in a danger ground. As for the use of that treasure, I have no idea. Treasure, danger ground. Ning Yu murmured. With his eyes closed, no one knew what Ning Yu was thinking about. The Void Secret Realm was extremely mysterious and boundless. No one knew how big it was. It was a place that even heavenly sovereigns couldn't explore, not to mention Ning Yu. Can you let us go? 10 minutes later, the taller 5th grade Earth Sovereign couldn't hold it in any longer and braced himself. We already know that Jin Yemeng wasn't killed by you, but Dan Ming. As long as you let us go, we guarantee that we won't mention anything about you. Is that so? Ning Yu did not answer the tall 5th grade Earth Sovereign. He stood on the spot, opened his eyes, and looked at the tall 5th grade Earth Sovereign. Yes. The tall 5th grade Earth Sovereign did not dare to look Ning Yu in the eye, so he turned his head away. He turned his head and said, "You better not let me go. Otherwise, I'll make you regret it." Chapter 1330. Danxian Ridge. In that case, open your mind and allow me to leave a strand of soul force in your sea of consciousness. Without any expression on his face, Ning Yu shot out a cold light from his body and flew towards the tall 5th grade Earth Sovereign. Shio. Looking at the cold light that was approaching him, the 5th grade Earth Sovereign's face turned pale. He was very clear that the cold light flying towards him was Ning Yu's soul force. Ning Yu wanted to leave his soul force in his sea of consciousness. In other words, he wanted to completely control his life and death. As long as there was soul power in his sea of consciousness, then he would be finished, completely finished, and would never be able to rise again. Split up and run. In the blink of an eye, the tall 5th grade Earth Sovereign made a decision. Escape. They still had many Earth Sovereigns on their side, while Ning Yu's side only had the scarred and ferocious bloodthirsty wolves. If they split up, there was still a chance of survival. Voila! In an instant, the cultivators of the Jin family all used their secret arts to tear the void and flee into the distance. "You're not going after him?" The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf said hesitantly when he saw the Jin family members fleeing and Ning Yu not doing anything. The scarred mad wolf didn't want the experts of the Jin family to escape, because it would be a disaster for them, a disaster that couldn't be avoided. Their enemy was not only the Jin clan, but also the main bloodline of the bloodthirsty mad wolves outside the Kongwu secret realm. "It's fine." Ning Yu waved his hand, signaling Scarface and bloodthirsty wolf to calm down. "How can I remain calm at a time like this?" The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf slandered him. If he didn't trust Ning Yu, he would have attacked him already. "Ah, what the hell is that? My eyes. No. My leg is an absolute death barrier. Quickly retreat." Pu. Not long after, various shouts and shouts filled the entire area. The warriors of the Jin family were in big trouble. There seemed to be a formation set up in this area by some powerful person. If they dared to take even half a step into it, they would definitely die. Senior. The entire area had turned into a living hell. Only the place where Ningyu was standing remained unscathed. Ningyu was disappointed. In an instant, he understood everything. The one who set up the formation was not a stranger, but the will inside the black flying sword. That will had helped him advance to the 7th grade Earth Sovereign realm. Now, it had even set up a spiritual array to kill so many experts of the Jin clan. Become stronger. There will always be a battle. Ningyu would never forget the words that the will left in his mind before it dissipated. These words were engraved in his heart. Essence soul battle body, devour all their essence souls. Don't leave any traces behind. Ningyu immediately sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. Whoosh, whoosh. The primordial spirit battle body and the scarred bloodthirsty berserk wolf moved. They swiftly dealt with 2 5th grade Earth Sovereigns in the blink of an eye. For the experts of the Jin clan, death might be the best relief. The scarred berserk wolf did not fight with the primordial spirit battle body. They had a clear division of labor. He killed the experts of the Jin clan, while the primordial spirit battle body devoured the essence souls. They were like fiends that swept away the clouds. Wherever they passed, the experts of the Jin clan would wail. No one knew if it was relief or pain. Whoosh, whoosh. Soon, the Yuan spirit battle body and the scarred berserk wolf returned. They floated beside Ningyu without saying a word. Right now, Ningyu was in a strange state. He seemed to be sleeping, but also comprehending the Tao. Phew. Not long after, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes and slowly breathed out a mouthful of turbid air. To be honest, the state he was in earlier was very strange. It made him feel like his essence soul had left his body. Forget it. I'll think about it later. Shaking his head, Ningyu said to the scarred berserk wolf, "Bring Jin Yeming and Jin Lan to the celestial pellet ridge." The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf's face darkened. They had just experienced a huge battle and had yet to completely recover to their peak condition. Yet, they were going to continue attacking? Furthermore, there was already news that Jin Yeming had died in the hands of Dan Ming. It was a little inappropriate for him to risk his life at Dan Immortal Ridge. It's fine, let's go to the periphery of Dan Immortal Ridge first. Ningyu waved his hand, signaling the scarred wolf not to worry. You'd better not go to Dan Immortal Ridge, Jin Lan said coldly at this moment. Why? Ningyu frowned and asked in confusion. Dan Immortal Ridge has a peerless pill puppet. You can't afford to offend it, said Jin Lan. Jin Lan came from an ancient family in the Thousand Leaf Empire, so he knew some secrets. The celestial pellet ridge wasn't simple. Not only was there a peerless pill puppet, but there were also heavenly sovereigns, or even terrifying existences that surpassed heavenly sovereigns. Jin Lan did not want to take the risk. She still wanted to return to the Thousand Leaf Empire alive. Tell me in detail. Ningyu crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at Jin Lan with interest. During the battle with the Jin family's experts, Jin Lan was sealed by the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf, so she was not affected. However, Jin Lan had seen the battle. Although Ningyu was very talented, Dan Immortal Ridge was not an easy place to enter. Even the periphery was guarded by powerful pill puppets. Once outsiders stepped into Dan Immortal Ridge, terrifying things would happen. In short, just listen to me. Don't go to Dan Immortal Ridge. Jin Lan did not want to say more. What she learned was confidential and could not be mentioned to others easily. I won't force it. Let's go. Ningyu did not force Jin Lan. He waved his hand and was the first to rush toward Dan Immortal Ridge. Swish, swish. Behind Ningyu, the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf lifted Jin Lan and followed closely behind Ningyu. The ferocious mad wolf did not stay idle either. He carried Jin Yeming's corpse and followed closely behind. Damn it. You can't go. Dan Immortal Ridge is terrifying. Along the way, Jin Lan kept shouting, hoping that Ningyu would stop. But every time Ningyu asked, she would shut up. Since she was unwilling to speak the truth, Ningyu did not say anything else. He ordered the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf to seal her mouth to prevent her from making a ruckus. After sealing her mouth, Jinlan became well-behaved. Hide. After traveling at full speed for some time, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly tore open the void and entered. Upon seeing Ningyu's actions, the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf and the others also tore open the void and disappeared. What's going on? The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf was puzzled. The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf knew very well that they would enter Dan Immortal Ridge's territory in a short while. Before entering Dan Immortal Ridge, Ningyu's appearance had indeed shocked him. The one in front is Kuan Peng perfected. He entered the void mystic realm with me. Ningyu pointed to the old man not far away and said in a deep voice. He entered the void mystic realm with you? The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf was alarmed and hurriedly looked over. Not far away, an old man was lying on the ground, knocking left and right. No one knew what he was doing. Crack. Chapter 1331. A humanoid creature who dares to behave atrociously here. The humanoid creature's powerful aura pressed down on Kuan Peng. Fart. Kuan Peng coughed out a mouthful of blood under the pressure of the powerful aura. He could not help but kneel on the ground. I have a token. Kuan Peng squeezed out a few words. Swish. The humanoid creature retracted his aura and said, "Give me the token." Kuan Peng took out a token and handed it to the humanoid creature. A token is needed to enter the Celestial Pellet Ridge? In the distance, Ningyu frowned and asked the scarred bloodthirsty wolf beside him. No, a token is not needed to enter the Celestial Pellet Ridge, but outsiders will be killed by the Guardians if they dare to enter. The scarred wolf was also confused. He had lived in the Void Realm for a long time and had never heard of a token. At the same time, the scarred wolf looked at Ningyu. Isn't Kuan Peng Sage your master? Why don't you know anything about him? Don't look at me. He's not my master. We have a feud. Ningyu knew what the scarred wolf was thinking. He shook his head and said, if we hadn't been separated when we entered the Void Realm, I would have been killed by him. I would have been better off being killed. The scarred wolf cursed inwardly. That humanoid creature is at most a grade 4 Earth Supreme. Capture him and interrogate him. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu decided to capture the humanoid creature. Since he was here, there was no reason for him to leave. Especially since Kuan Peng Sage had found a way to enter the Celestial Pellet Ridge, it meant that there were treasures in the Celestial Pellet Ridge. Otherwise, with Kuan Peng Sage's cautious personality, why would he enter the Celestial Pellet Ridge? That's not a good idea, right? The scarred wolf hesitated. There's a peerless elixir puppet in the Celestial Pellet. I'm afraid it'll be bad for us. Do you sense the aura of a heavenly sovereign here? Ningyu asked, or perhaps, you sense the aura of a high-rank Earth sovereign here? After hearing Ningyu's words, the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf felt a little awkward. To be honest, he didn't sense the aura of a heavenly sovereign or a high-rank Earth sovereign. To be precise, Dan Immortal Ridge was a little strange and unusual today. At this moment, the humanoid creature opened the barrier and let Kuan Peng Daoist in. Do it, Ningyu said to the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf. Whoosh. The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf had no choice but to advance cautiously. Who is it? The senses of humanoid creatures were extremely sharp. Before the scarred wolf even got close to him, he had already noticed it. This is Dan Immortal Ridge, who dares to barge in? The humanoid creature roared. Barge my ass. Since he'd been discovered, the scarred berserk wolf decided to let go. He unleashed the aura of a 6th grade Earth Sovereign and pressed it against the humanoid creature. Ka. The humanoid creature was at most a 4th grade Earth Supreme, so how could it withstand the aura of the scarred bloodthirsty wolf? He kept retreating, and at the same time, a long spear appeared in his hand, stabbing towards the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf. Crack. The scarred berserk wolf's right arm struck out and broke the spear into two. Then, the scarred berserk wolf grabbed the humanoid creature's shoulder with his tail and flew towards Ningyu. Along the way, The scarred berserk wolf kept casting seals in an attempt to completely seal the humanoid creature. After struggling for a while, the humanoid creature was finally captured by the scarred berserk wolf and brought to Ningyu. Intruders of Dan Immortal Ridge, die. The humanoid creature glared at Ningyu and said coldly, "Interesting, no consciousness, a semi-finished product in the pellet." Ningyu said with a frown. A semi-finished product was the kind of existence that had no consciousness and needed other pellets to inject their consciousness into their minds. Whatever intent was instilled, these semi-finished pellets would react accordingly. Erase the consciousness in his mind. As long as a pellet appears, he will launch a powerful attack. Ningyu thought about it and decided to keep the humanoid creature. Who knows, it might be of some help. No problem. The scarred berserk wolf was very experienced in this. He dragged the humanoid creature away from the area. This place was very close to the periphery of Dan Immortal Ridge, so the scarred berserk wolf didn't dare to erase the humanoid creature's consciousness here. If a peerless pellet puppet appeared in Dan Immortal Ridge, they could make use of it to escape. Crack. Not long after the scarred berserk wolf left, the periphery of Dan Immortal Ridge caved in and 4 young pellet puppets appeared. Most of them were in the 8th grade human sovereign realm. Among them, there was a man in blue who was at the pinnacle of the 9th grade human sovereign realm. "Where's the semi-finished pellet puppet?" An 8th grade human sovereign pellet puppet looked around and frowned. "Our Dan Immortal Ridge is empty right now. Don't let anything happen to it. Go and take a look around. You must find that semi-finished pellet puppet." The man in blue said in a deep voice. "Yes." The figures of the other 4 men flashed and flew in different directions. Unfortunately, the 8th grade human sovereign pellet puppet was flying in the direction where Ningyu was. "Take him down." Ningyu carefully lurked and ordered the ferocious bloodthirsty mad wolf. Boom. When the 8th grade human sovereign Dan puppet approached, the ferocious bloodthirsty berserk wolf suddenly tore through the void, giving him a dull thud. Then, it silently brought him into the void. "Who are you?" This pill puppet had some backbone, and his legs didn't turn to jelly. Instead, he berated. "You'd better be honest about the current situation of Dan Immortal Ridge. Otherwise, I'll show you what cruelty is," Ningyu said in a deep voice. Ningyu already knew that the pellet puppet was plotting something big, so he didn't have any qualms about meeting him. "You want to know the secret of Dan Immortal Ridge? Dream on." The pellet puppet snorted. He had no intention of telling Ningyu. Ningyu didn't want to waste time with him. He stretched out his right hand and slapped the pellet puppet's head. Buzz. Ningyu exerted his strength and executed his memory-devouring cultivation technique. Not long after, Ningyu devoured all the pellet puppet's memories. After devouring the memories, Ningyu took a deep breath, and a fiery look appeared in his eyes. What a great opportunity! Ningyu was excited. Through the pellet puppet's memories, Ningyu learned that the strongest person in Dan Immortal Ridge was only a peak 5th grade human sovereign. This situation was advantageous to them. Robbery. These 2 words appeared in Ningyu's mind. The pellet puppet was good stuff. The Yuan Qi pellet could replenish one's energy and be used for cultivation. The soul pellet could be devoured to strengthen one's soul. Let's get rid of him and wait for the scarred berserk wolf to return. We'll go to Dan Immortal Ridge. Chapter 1332. Chapter 1332. Chapter 1332. The Great Rock Daoist. Why is there one missing? At the same time, 3 pill puppets returned from 3 different directions and landed beside the blue-robed man. The blue-clothed man frowned as if he had noticed something. Someone wants to harm Dan Immortal Ridge. In an instant, the blue-clothed man thought of a possibility. What? Hearing the blue-clothed man's words, the other 3 pill puppets revealed shocked expressions. The current Dan Immortal Ridge was extremely empty. The upper echelons of the Dan clan had left with all their might, leaving only the Elder Dan clan. If someone were to attack now, the consequences would be unimaginable. What's the hurry? The blue-clothed man maintained his composure. The Celestial Pellet Ridge has an array. Even a high-rank Earth Sovereign would be obstructed by the array. We just need to stay inside and wait for the elders to return. Now, listen to my orders. Quickly return to Dan Immortal Ridge and prepare to open it at any time. Oh no. Before the blue-robed man could finish his sentence, his expression changed greatly, and he hastily retreated. However, the speed at which the blue-clothed man retreated was clearly very slow. The space above his head suddenly split open, and a hand appeared, grabbing at his neck. Let's go. The blue-clothed man was extremely decisive. Although the large hand was about to grab his neck, he still gave the order. Go. The other 3 Dan Xiong understood and hurriedly scattered in all directions. Poochie. 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 However, it was obviously too late for them to escape now. Another huge palm appeared and slammed towards their heads, turning them into meat patties. Buzz. After dealing with the small shrimp, Ningyu tore the void and appeared in front of the blue-robed man. Bring us to Dan Immortal Ridge. Ningyu did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Humph. You must be dreaming if you want to enter Dan Immortal Ridge. The man in blue snorted coldly and did not say anything. Haha, you're quite stubborn. Ningyu slapped him on the cheek, knocking out 2 of his teeth. I'll ask you one last time. Are you bringing it or not? The reason why Ningyu wanted the blue-clothed man to bring him into Dan Immortal Ridge was because he was afraid of Dan Immortal Ridge. Even though the peerless pill puppet of Dan Immortal Ridge was long gone, he still had to be careful not to be trapped by certain restrictions. Ha ha ha. I will definitely not bring you in unless you defeat me, you piece of trash. The blue-clothed man was extremely unbridled. He laughed wildly and said, Do you dare to have a fair battle? A fair fight with you? Do I look like a fool to you? As he spoke, Ningyu sent out a few more kicks. Each kick landed on the blue-clothed man's chest, breaking several ribs. Kill him. Ningyu took out the red demon sword and slashed at the blue-robed man's neck. Wait. Suddenly, Jinlan said, If you want to obtain good treasures in Elixir Immortal Ridge, you have to make him stay. What do you mean? Ningyu was surprised. Jinlan was really strange. At first, he was against entering Elixir Immortal Ridge because he was afraid of danger. Now, he was in favor of entering. Ningyu could not fathom the sudden change of events. What do you mean? Asked Ningyu as he placed the red demon sword against the blue-clothed man's neck. There are many places in Elixir Immortal Ridge that require intrinsic blood essence. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to move an inch. Jinlan explained, It's the treasure vault of Elixir Immortal Ridge. Without sufficient blood essence, there's no way to open it. What a strange race. They need blood essence for everything. Since Jinlan had said so, Ningyu decided to keep the blue-clothed man alive. Let's go. After instructing the scarred bloodthirsty berserk wolf to bring the blue-clothed man and the ferocious berserk wolf to bring Jin Yeming, they carefully approached Elixir Immortal Ridge. As Jinlan was more familiar with Elixir Immortal Ridge, Ningyu did not let the scarred bloodthirsty berserk wolf seal her. Instead, he gave her freedom. Return me my silver-white flying sword. The moment she regained her freedom, Jinlan reached out for the silver-white flying sword. Swoosh. Ningyu did not make things difficult for her. Instead, he flicked his wrist and returned the silver-white flying sword to her. The will within the silver-white flying sword had long been devoured and refined by Ningyu. It was not a big deal to hand the silver-white flying sword over to Jinlan. After receiving the silver-white flying sword, Jinlan said, I know a little about Elixir Immortal Ridge. If you follow behind me, there shouldn't be any major problems. As he spoke, Jinlan's figure flashed as she flew into the distance. Ningyu and the scarred bloodthirsty berserk wolf looked at each other before rising from the ground and giving chase. Not long after, Jinlan came to a stop. There was a transparent barrier in front of her. This is the outer barrier of Elixir Immortal Ridge. You have to know the secret to opening it. You can't break it by force. Jinlan explained, once you break it by force, the array around Elixir Immortal Ridge will be activated. When that happens, the few of us will die a horrible death. Let me do it. Ningyu had devoured Dan Kai's memories and had long mastered how to break the barrier. Taking a step forward, Ningyu waved his hands repeatedly before suddenly pushing them out. Buzz. As Ningyu pushed out his palm, the transparent barrier trembled and then cracked open with a loud bang. Go in. After the barrier broke, Ningyu took the lead and walked in. This is Elixir Immortal Ridge. On the other side of the barrier, Ningyu's mouth was agape. He was a little speechless. He thought that the interior of Elixir Immortal Ridge would be filled with all sorts of luxurious palaces and buildings. Who would have thought that the surroundings were empty except for a few trees that towered into the clouds? Elixir Immortal Ridge is a space that Dan Kai opened up using great means. As though he could see Ningyu's doubts, Jinlan explained, let's go to Elixir Hall. If I'm not wrong, all the Dharma treasures and pills should be inside. Jinlan revealed a hint of excitement. Although she quickly concealed her expression, it still couldn't escape Ningyu's detection. Ningyu didn't really trust Jinlan. The fact that Jinlan could survive in the Void Realm was enough to prove that she had some ability. Pay close attention to Jinlan. If she does anything out of line, take her down immediately. Ningyu secretly instructed the scarred bloodthirsty wolf to keep an eye on Jinlan. Since they had entered Elixir Immortal Ridge, there was no reason for Ningyu to return. Besides, the strongest person in Elixir Immortal Ridge was only a 5th grade Earth Supreme, but they had 2 6th grade Earth Sovereigns on their side. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they could do whatever they wanted. Whoosh! Ningyu and the others flew at full speed and soon arrived at Elixir Immortal Hall. He's also in the hall. Ningyu and the others hid in the void and didn't immediately enter Elixir Immortal Hall. That was because Ningyu found an old acquaintance in Elixir Immortal Hall. Kuan Peng Enlightened. Kuan Peng Enlightened was sitting cross-legged on a cushion. On both sides of the cushion was a piece of bone. Kuan Peng bone. Ningyu was shocked because the 2 bones were very similar to the bones that Kuan Peng Enlightened had given him. They were Kuan Peng bones. Could it be that these 2 bones also have the Kuan Peng ominous art? Ningyu couldn't calm down. Since he didn't trust Kuan Peng Enlightened, he hadn't practiced the Kuan Peng ominous art. Chapter 1333. Chapter 1333, Freedom of Will. Where is the 3rd Kuan Peng bone? A deep voice was heard from the Immortal of Alchemy Hall. Hearing the voice, Kuan Peng, who was sitting on the futon, suddenly opened his eyes. There was a hint of panic in his eyes. However, this flustered expression quickly disappeared, and was replaced by a cold snort. Humph. So it was Dan Kai who trapped me with the heaven-slaughtering and earth-destroying formation. Hee, it wasn't Dan Kai who trapped you with the heaven-slaughtering and earth-destroying formation. It was a human. The voice from before rang out once more with a faint smile. Our Dan Kai has a cooperative relationship with him. It seems like you are plotting something big. Kuan Peng stood up from the futon and said in a deep voice, is it worth it to get 3 Kuan Peng bones? Yes, of course it is. Whoosh. At that moment, an illusionary figure slowly walked out from the deep end of the hall. The illusionary figure nodded and said, legend has it that gathering all 3 Kuan Peng bones can open the Kuan Peng tomb and obtain the real Kuan Peng ominous art. Kaboom! As the illusionary figure finished speaking, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. The real Kuan Peng ominous art? Could it be that the Kuan Peng ominous art he obtained was fake? Don't even think about the 3rd Kuan Peng bone. My will has the upper hand now. If you force me, I will self-destruct. Kuan Peng's gaze was cold. You should know that without 3 Kuan Peng bones, you will never be able to open the Kuan Peng tomb. Not necessarily. The illusionary figure said, in recent years, the Kuan Peng tomb has changed greatly. Maybe 2 Kuan Peng bones will be enough to open it. The illusionary figure paused for a moment before continuing. Also, do you really think your will has the upper hand? Hearing this, Kuan Peng's heart skipped a beat. Ugh. Then, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Kuan Peng pointed at the illusionary figure. However, Kuan Peng Daoist seemed to have changed into a different person as he said respectfully. My lord, there's a slight deviation in the plan, but I've already tricked the kid with the 3rd Kuan Peng bone into the Void Secret Realm. As long as you send a few Earth Supreme Dan Kai, you can capture him at any time. Hearing this, Ningyu was shocked. It turned out that Kuan Peng sage had lured him to the empty mystic realm not only to avoid the black-clothed martial artist, but also to snatch the Kuan Peng bone. There's no need to rush for now. Dan Immortal Ridge is empty now. Let's wait for a few more hours for the experts of Dan Immortal Ridge to return. Then, we can snatch the third Kuan Peng bone. Waving his hand, the illusory figure said, "Now, throw me the other 2 Kuan Peng bones." Yes. Kuan Peng Dao Master did not dare to disobey the illusionary figure. He grabbed 2 Kuan Peng bones and threw them at the illusionary figure. Attack! Right at this moment, Ningyu shouted in a deep voice. Shio! As Ningyu's voice fell, the scarred wolf suddenly tore through the void and dashed out. The scarred wolf was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it stood between Kuan Peng Dao Master and the illusionary figure and grabbed the 2 Kuan Peng bones. Who? The sudden change caused the illusionary figure's expression to change drastically. He yelled, "Hurry up and snatch the Kuan Peng bones." Swoosh! Kuan Peng Dao Master was enraged. He immediately rushed out, wanting to snatch the Kuan Peng bones back. Bang! However, Kuan Peng Dao Master's consciousness had the upper hand. He immediately started fighting with the other consciousness. The 2 consciousnesses fought for control of the body, so naturally, they could not fight against the scarred wolf. Buzz buzz! Ningyu appeared in the void and stared at the illusionary figure. "This is not your real body. You are very smart. If you are willing to join Dan Immortal Ridge, I can let you lead." And Dan Kai, the illusionary figure, quickly calmed down and said, "This promise of yours seems to be very tempting to me." Ningyu frowned, as if he was in deep thought. "Think about it. There is no hatred between us. We might even have the same goal." The illusionary figure continued to tempt him. "I believe you have a third Kuan Peng bone. If you give me the third Kuan Peng bone, I can help you reach the Earth Supreme Realm. He, make your move." The corner of Ningyu's lips curled up and he said coldly, "Whoosh." The ferocious wolf's chi had already locked onto the illusionary figure. Now that Ningyu had given the order, he tore through the void and arrived before the illusionary figure. He threw a punch that brought with it a violent gust of wind. The punch landed on the illusionary figure's head. Whoosh! Though the ferocious wolf's punch was powerful, it only managed to disperse the illusionary figure. Before long, the illusionary figure reformed again. "Hehe, this is the Divine Alchemy Hall. Here, I am indestructible." The illusionary figure let out an eerie laugh. "Time's up. Let everything end here." As it spoke, the illusionary figure formed a series of hand seals. At once, the void cracked open and countless chains appeared, locking down the entire hall. Kaboom! Then, a gap suddenly appeared at the back of the hall. A young living being walked out. Seeing the young living being's true appearance, Ningyu's mouth widened. He glanced at the man in blue and was a little shocked. The young living being's appearance was very similar to the man in blue. It could be said that they were carved from the same mold. "He is me, I am him. We are the same person, but we are not the same person." The young living being's tone was calm, as if he was talking about something mundane. You. At this moment, perfected being Kuan Peng defeated the consciousness of the Divine Alchemy Ridge and gained control of his body. Perfected being Kuan Peng stared at the young living being as if he had seen a ghost. "No wonder you wanted to enter the Kuan Peng tomb. So you have cultivated this spell. This spell was created by the Dan Kai clan. It is only natural that I cultivate it." The young living being said. "Pooey." Perfected being Kuan Peng spat out a mouthful of saliva and said coldly, "The infinite freedom transformation technique belongs to humans. How can your Dan Kai clan create it? Heh, history is written by the victors. A defeat is a defeat. There's no point in talking about this." The young living being smiled faintly before turning to look at Ningyu. "You are very strong. I can see something extraordinary about you. You shall be my 100th body." Crack. Ningyu's expression was cold. He stomped his right foot heavily and crushed the blue-robed man. "If you want to subdue me, that will depend on whether you have the ability," Ningyu said proudly. The reason why Ningyu dared to do so was because he had discovered something special about the hall. The young living being was not very strong. As long as the scarred bloodthirsty frenzied wolf and the ferocious frenzied wolf could block the array formation, he had a high chance of subduing the young living being. Hand over the infinite freedom transformation technique and I can spare your life. Chapter 1334. Chapter 1334. Escape. You dared to destroy my clone? Seeing that the blue-clothed man was killed by Ningyu, the young creature's eyes were about to split open, and he roared furiously. The young creature cultivated the boundless embodiment transformation technique. Up until now, he had already cultivated 99 clones. As long as he could form one more clone, he would be able to complete the first step of the boundless embodiment technique. At that time, the young lifeform's strength would increase exponentially and he could even recover 1/100th of his peak strength. So be it. If you dare to let the rest of your clones come back, I'll kill them all. Ningyu's tone was emotionless, without the slightest ripple. Good, good, good. I happen to have a clone here today. I'll let him face you. The young lifeform had calmed down instead. His lips curled into a smile and he forced out a drop of blood essence. Fart. The blood essence exploded and a figure appeared in the palace. The figure that suddenly appeared was roughly 20 years old. He had a head full of green hair and was brimming with vitality. His cultivation had reached the pinnacle of the 9th grade human sovereign. It was obvious that this figure was one of the younger lifeform's clones. He was at least in the top 50. My name is Chen Yu. The green-haired man stomped his right foot on the ground and said coldly, I'll kill you today. A mere pinnacle of the 9th grade human sovereign wants to kill me? Ningyu's gaze was firm and he didn't put the green-haired man in his eyes at all. He had already reached the 7th grade human sovereign and was practically invincible beneath the Earth Supreme realm. It could be said that no one could do a thing to him unless they were heaven-defying half-step Earth sovereigns. Not even the green-haired man, Chen Yu. Swish. Ningyu moved. He was extremely fast and arrived before the green-haired man in an instant. He threw out a punch that didn't contain any fluctuation of energy. It was extremely calm. It was this calm punch that made the green-haired man's expression change drastically and he immediately retreated. Power of the array, bless me, Chen Yu yelled as he retreated. He wanted to borrow the power of the array around him. Kill. Unfortunately, Ningyu's attack speed was too fast. The red demon sword suddenly appeared in his hand, and he slashed at the green-haired Chen Yu's neck. How dare you? Seeing that the green-haired man was in danger, the young creature roared furiously. The green-haired man was his 50th doppelganger, and he was extremely powerful. This time, he had fought on behalf of him with the intention of beheading Ningyu, but who would have thought that he would be at a disadvantage? Why not? Ningyu sneered. Soon after, the red demon sword in his hand fiercely chopped down. Catcher. The flying sword landed on the green-haired Chen Yu's neck, instantly decapitating her. Poochie. After losing the 50th clone, the young creature finally showed some changes. It spat out a large mouthful of dark red blood, and its face became a bit pale. Kill. Ningyu didn't stop after his attack succeeded. Instead, he charged out again, wanting to kill the young creature. Ningyu was well aware of how powerful the young creatures were. Even the 50th doppelganger had the cultivation of a peak 9th rank mortal supreme. One could imagine how powerful the first few doppelgangers were. Once the first few doppelgangers were summoned by the young creature, the consequences would be unthinkable. Therefore, Ningyu made his move. He wanted to kill the young creature completely without leaving a trace. Formation, rise. The young creature's expression was solemn. He kept retreating while waving his hands. Boom. In an instant, the second formation rose in the hall, enveloping the entire hall within it. Enjoy the joy brought by the formation. The corner of the young creature's lips curled up. Then, he disappeared into the air, wanting to leave. Scarred berserk wolf, hurry up and stop him. Don't let him disappear, or else there will be endless trouble in the future. Ningyu yelled, ordering the scarred berserk wolf to attack. The boundless embodiment technique was extremely terrifying. Although Ningyu didn't believe that the young creature could successfully cultivate it, there was always a chance. If the young creature cultivated the boundless embodiment technique to a higher level, the consequences would be unthinkable. Where do you think you're going? The scarred berserk wolf immediately gave up on resisting the formation and turned to deal with the young creature. As a 6th grade Earth Supreme, the scarred berserk wolf's strength wasn't just for show. He punched the air and landed a punch on the young creature's back. Boom! A muffled sound rang through the air. The young creature staggered, almost dying here. Boundless embodiment technique. At the critical moment, the young creature let out a roar and self-destructed. Countless wisps of blood mist merged into the air and disappeared in the blink of an eye. What a disaster in the end. Ningyu naturally saw everything. He originally thought that the scarred berserk wolf could stop him, but who would have thought that the young creature would abandon his shell and escape with the boundless embodiment technique? Under such circumstances, even if the scarred berserk wolf's cultivation had reached the high-level Earth Supreme level, he still couldn't capture the young creature. Break the formation with all your might. There must be good treasures in the immortal Dan Hall. Ningyu ordered the scarred berserk wolf and the ferocious berserk wolf to work together to break the formation. As for himself, he went to Kuan Peng enlightened. Swish, swish, swish. He reached out his hands and tapped on Kuan Peng enlightened's chest a few times, stabilizing him temporarily. I don't have much time left. There are some things that you should know. Even though Ningyu had sealed him, Kuan Peng enlightened's condition was still not good. The consciousness in his body was constantly fighting back. As long as he relaxed even a little, he would lose control of his body. Gather all 3 Kuan Peng bones and you can open the Kuan Peng's tomb. Inside is the middle part of the boundless embodiment technique. Kuan Peng enlightened's eyes were cloudy as he said, the young creature's name is Xie Yi. He is the oldest in the Dan Kai. He has already used a secret technique to remember you. There will be a battle between you two sooner or later. With your current strength, there's no way you can fight against Xie Yi. You must hurry up and reach the Earth Supreme level as soon as possible. Ha ha ha. Earth Supreme? Master is undefeatable. This kid will never be able to fight against my master. Another consciousness inside Kuan Peng enlightened took the upper hand and laughed. Master has thousands of clones and is everywhere. He will seek revenge at any time. Shut up. Kuan Peng enlightened's eyes lit up and scolded, worst comes to worst, we'll fight to the death. Fight to the death? Who's afraid of who? Another consciousness said coldly. He did not believe that Kuan Peng enlightened would do such a thing. Ningyu, on the 3 Kuan Peng bones, there is a simple Kuan Peng ominous art. As for whether they are the real Kuan Peng ominous art, I don't know. Kuan Peng enlightened paused and continued, I don't have much time left. I'll use the last bit of time to break the inhibition spells under the Hall of Alchemy for you. Leaping into the air, Kuan Peng enlightened turned his head around and drilled into the ground. Crack. After entering the ground, Kuan Peng enlightened's speed became faster and faster. Chapter 1335. Chapter 1335. Primordial Pill Essence. What are you doing? Stop right now. Kuan Peng perfected being's other consciousness scolded while trying to regain control of his body. Ha ha ha, mutual destruction. Kuan Peng perfected being laughed maniacally before his body exploded. Rumble. Kuan Peng perfected being an Earth Supreme, the shockwave from his explosion should be extremely terrifying. However, Kuan Peng perfected being had a good grasp of the situation. The shockwave from his explosion did not spread to other places, but directly struck the ground. Crack, crack, crack. In an instant, several chains seemed to have been broken. Whoosh. After the chains were broken, a beam of light shot out from the ground and flew toward the surface at a shocking speed. The speed of the beam of light increased, and in the blink of an eye, it rushed out of the ground, trying to rush out of the celestial Dan Hall. Stop it! Ningyu yelled in the celestial Dan Hall. Although he did not know what the beam of light was, Ningyu knew that something released by Kuan Peng perfected being's self-destruction was definitely not ordinary. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Inside the hall, Ningyu, the scarred berserk wolf, and the ferocious berserk wolf worked together to surround the beam of light. The beam of light was not an ordinary object. Under the combined efforts of Ning Yu and the other two, it was still able to escape with ease. Ning Yu had no choice but to take out the red demon sword and slashed out several sword rays in the air. Each sword ray was aimed at the beam of light. The scarred berserk wolf and the ferocious berserk wolf sealed the space and gradually shrunk the seal. "Hurry up, I can feel someone coming." Not long after, Ning Yu yelled and his expression changed drastically. "Seal." Since Ning Yu could feel someone coming, the scarred berserk wolf and the others naturally felt it too. Forming hand seals, the scarred berserk wolf and the ferocious berserk wolf attacked with all their might. The seal continued to shrink, trapping the beam of light. "Go." After trapping the beam of light, the scarred berserk wolf tore the void and tried to leave. "Not good, hide." However, as soon as the scarred wolf's right foot stepped into the void, his expression changed drastically, and he hastily changed his strategy. His body swayed and merged with the void. "Bring Jin Lan along." Ning Yu glanced at Jin Lan before entering the void. "Pa." The ferocious bloodthirsty wolf grabbed Jin Lan and pulled him into the void. Everything came and went quickly. Inside the celestial Dan Hall, Ning Yu and the others had completely disappeared, blending into the void. There was only a corpse lying flat in the hall, looking extremely cold. Buzz. Not long after, the space in front of the celestial Dan Hall cracked open and a group of silhouettes appeared. Ah! As soon as these people appeared, they let out hysterical roars. Although the celestial Dan Hall was not destroyed, it became extremely unstable and could collapse at any time. Shio. In the blink of an eye, the old man in the lead entered the celestial Dan Hall. Behind the old man, several figures descended at the same time. "Who is it?" The old man's gaze was cold as he scanned the hall, hoping to find some clues. So powerful. In the void, Ning Yu's essence merged into his body, not daring to leak the slightest bit. Ning Yu had already determined that the old man in the celestial Dan Hall was an 8th grade Earth Sovereign. He was extremely powerful. The experts behind the old man were also terrifying. All of them were 6th grade Earth Sovereigns and 7th grade Earth Sovereigns. They're the upper echelons of the celestial Dan Hall. The scarred berserk wolf explained. The upper echelons of the celestial Dan Hall. Ning Yu knitted his brows. He vaguely felt that something was amiss. Since they were the upper echelons of the celestial Dan Hall, they would definitely investigate carefully. If they did, the chances of him being exposed would be greatly increased. "I have to think of a way." Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said to the scarred berserk wolf, "Show me the light beam." The scarred berserk wolf took out a piece of crystal and handed it over to Ning Yu. This piece of crystal was a seal, and the light beam was sealed inside. Receiving the crystal, Ning Yu was shocked. "It's the primordial elixir essence." Ning Yu couldn't believe his eyes. He even rubbed his eyes. The primordial elixir essence was the treasure of the Pill Puppet clan. According to legend, a complete primordial elixir essence could create a flawless peerless elixir puppet. And the peerless elixir puppet that was created had a 90% chance of advancing to the Sky Supreme realm. The ancestor isn't here. Inside the celestial Dan Hall, a 6th grade Earth Supreme elixir puppet beside the old man said carefully. The ancestor he was referring to was obviously the young life form. The ancestor cultivates the myriad embodiment technique. He won't die so easily. Every time he suffers a serious injury, it's a transformation. Don't worry about it. The old man waved his hand and said, "Investigate at all costs. We have to find out who's causing trouble here." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As the old man's voice fell, Dan Kai, who was next to him, began to carefully investigate the surroundings. "This girl seems to have the bloodline of the Jin clan." The old man didn't move. His gaze fell on Jin Yemeng. Could it be that the Jin clan is on guard? The old man's voice suddenly stopped halfway, and he said in a low voice, "Huala." The Dan Kai of the celestial Dan Hall returned in the blink of an eye and stood beside the old man. At this moment, the space in front of the hall split open again and a group of people appeared. "What is the meaning of this?" The old man's face instantly darkened when he saw the sudden appearance of these people. These people were none other than the experts of the Jinn clan. The experts of the Jinn clan and Celestial Dan Ridge had gone to a place in the Void Realm to fight for the treasure. In the end, the treasure was split into two. The experts of the Celestial Dan Ridge and the Jinn clan each took one half. Hey, nothing much. I just feel that it's a waste for such a treasure to fall into your hands. Why don't you hand it over to us for the time being? The leader of the Jinn clan was a middle-aged man with a square face. His aura was vigorous. He had reached the 8th grade Earth Supreme Realm, the same as the old man from the Celestial Dan Ridge. Jin Liefei, this is the Celestial Dan Ridge. How dare you cause trouble here? The old man's face was cold as he berated, I want you to leave now. Otherwise, the ancestor will definitely kill you when he shows up. Ancestor? The man called Jin Liefei raised the corner of his lips and said in disdain, the Dan Kai clan might be powerful, but it's impossible for your ancestor to, that is? As Jin Liefei spoke, he shifted his gaze into the hall. Especially when he saw Jin Yeming lying flat on the ground in the main hall, he went berserk. Jin Yi told me that Jin Yeming was killed by your Dan Kai clan. I didn't believe it at first, but now I'm sure that Jin Yeming was killed by you guys. Jin Liefei took a step forward. Instantly, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. I didn't have a good excuse to make a move against the Celestial Dan Ridge. Since that's the case, let's flatten the Celestial Dan Ridge. Whoosh. Following Jin Liefei's words, the experts behind him moved out one after another. The weakest among the experts that Jin Liefei brought was a 5th grade Earth Supreme Realm. There was even one that was the same as him, an 8th grade Earth Supreme Realm. Chapter 1336. Devour, Kill. Since the conflict couldn't be resolved, the old man from the Pellet Divine Ridge roared and charged at Jin Liefei. The old man's name was Demon Shield, the strongest pellet puppet in the Pellet Divine Ridge. His cultivation was at the pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign Realm, just half a step away from the 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. Rumble. In the sky, Demon Shield wasn't in a disadvantageous position despite facing two opponents. Ha ha ha. Jin Liefei, this is the Pellet Divine Ridge, and I can unleash 120% of my strength here. How are you going to fight me? After forcing Jin Liefei back with a single move, Venerable Shield Demon threw his head back and laughed. Really? The corner of Jin Liefei's lips rose as he took out a scroll and threw it into the sky. Boom. The scroll exploded and a silhouette appeared. What? When that silhouette appeared, Ningyu's face drastically changed. A Heavenly Supreme's clone. Ningyu knew that the silhouette that walked out of the scroll was a Heavenly Supreme's clone. How terrifying was a Heavenly Supreme? He could kill Demon Shield with a flick of his finger. It could be said that the difference between a Heavenly Supreme and an Earth Sovereign was like the difference between heaven and earth. Even an Earth Sovereign wouldn't be able to resist the pressure of a Heavenly Supreme. The Jin clan's ancestor is actually still alive. Demon Shield's face turned grave as he continued, I believe that refining this clone must have exhausted a lot of your ancestor's blood essence. Haha, it's worth it, no matter how much blood essence I've exhausted. Jin Liefei faintly smiled. As long as we can obtain the treasure in your hand and take the primordial pellet essence away, our ancestor might be able to recover. If you want the primordial pellet essence, you'll have to see if you're capable enough. Demon Shield's face was cold as he stomped his right foot on the ground. Crack. As Demon Shield's right foot stomped on the ground cracked and a massive silhouette appeared. Unconscious pellet puppet. The massive silhouette was the unconscious pellet puppet, the trump card of the Pellet Divine Ridge. I didn't expect you to also have a trump card. It seems that I have underestimated you. Looking at the unconscious pellet puppet, Jin Liefei took a deep breath. Although your unconscious pellet puppet can temporarily block the Heavenly Sovereign clone, you can't block our attacks. As soon as the word attack was uttered, Jin Liefei punched out with his right fist. Instantly, the void split apart, and a huge fist appeared in front of the Shield Demon Supremacy. Bang! Facing Jin Liefei's fist, Venerable Shield Demon pointed a finger at Jin Liefei's fist. When the two sides collided, Jin Liefei and Venerable Shield Demon both retreated at the same time. At the same time, the Heavenly Sovereign clone had already fought with the unconscious pellet puppet. The unintentional sense pellet puppet and the Heavenly Supreme clone's strength was around the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm. Neither of them could do anything to the other in a short period of time. Go! Jin Liefei had never understood the logic of a one-on-one battle, so he barked before joining forces with another 8th grade Earth Sovereign to attack the Shield Demon Venerable. Should we leave now? In the void, the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf's mouth was dry, and beads of sweat had even appeared on his forehead. The battle between several high-rank Earth Sovereigns might affect this place. Whether it was Jin Liefei or the Shield Demon Venerable, both of them could instantly kill him. The scarred wolf didn't want to lose his life here. Do you think that you can leave now? Ning Yu knitted his brows. Jin Liefei and the rest have already sealed this area. No one can enter or leave. Then, what should we do? Are we just going to wait for death here? The scarred wolf grew anxious. What are you panicking for? Ning Yu coldly said, you and the ferocious wolf, protect me. I'm going to try and refine the primordial pellet essence. What? Upon hearing Ning Yu's words, the scarred bloodthirsty wolf was not the only one shocked. Even Jinlan's mouth was agape and he was speechless for a long time. The primordial pellet essence was a terrifying existence. Refine it. Without at least 8 to 10 years, it was basically impossible. Crack. Ning Yu couldn't be bothered with the gazes of the scarred wolf and the rest. He took out the primordial pellet essence and threw it into his mouth. Exerting a little force, Ning Yu crushed the primordial pellet essence and swallowed it. Law of space. His hands formed seals, but Ning Yu did not use the spiritual transformation art. Instead, he called out the law of space. The reason why the primordial pellet essence was so precious was because there was a chance of refining it to cultivate the power of law. The power of law was something that even heavenly sovereigns yearned for. The law of space that appeared in Ning Yu's body wasn't complete, and it was only at the initial stage. If he could use the primordial pellet essence to refine the law of space, he might be able to produce a trace of the law of space. Buzz. Actually, there was no need for Ning Yu to summon it, since the law of space had already appeared. The primordial pellet essence was a fatal temptation to the law of space. In fact, even the tree sapling that had been sleeping the entire time transmitted a message to him. Unfortunately, I'm in a deep sleep and can't devour the primordial pellet essence. It's a good thing for that ignorant law of space. Maybe it can use this to give birth to a consciousness. The first half of the message that the sapling transmitted made Ning Yu feel speechless. However, the latter half of her words directly shocked Ning Yu. It could make the law of space give birth to a consciousness. This was an extremely terrifying thing. Without reaching the Saint Realm, it was extremely difficult to refine the power of law. It required opportunities and many heavenly materials and earthly treasures. However, once the law gave birth to a consciousness, it could absorb the heaven and earth yuan qi to cultivate and slowly grow stronger. Although the speed was very slow, this kind of conscious law could make many heavenly sovereigns go crazy. Since you want to fuse it, I'll help you. Ning Yu gritted his teeth and used a spell, forcibly scattering the primordial pellet essence and then slowly injecting it into the law of space. The law of space used to be like the sapling, able to devour many heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Now, there was no difficulty in devouring the primordial pellet essence. He can't really refine the primordial pellet essence, can he? Beside Ning Yu, Jinlan's mouth was wide open, as if he had seen a ghost. Jinlan knew a lot about the primordial pellet essence. Only heavenly sovereigns could refine and devour it. Otherwise, it was very likely that their bodies would explode and they would die. But Ning Yu was refining the primordial pellet essence here with his 7th grade Earth Supreme cultivation, and it seemed like there was no problem. This was really like seeing a ghost. Is it really not a waste for a human sovereign to refine the primordial pellet essence? The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf and the ferocious bloodthirsty mad wolf looked at each other. They could see the regret in each other's eyes. They didn't know that Ning Yu had the law of space, which was why they had such thoughts. If they knew that Ning Yu had the law of space, they would probably be shocked speechless. Ningyu is a freak. Maybe he can succeed. Chapter 1337. Sovereign Blood Essence. I feel that you guys have to think of a way to stop Ningyu. Jinlan had a different view, so she continued, you guys should be clearer than me about the consequences of Ningyu's failure. We naturally know the consequences of Ningyu's failure, but do you dare to wake Ningyu up? The scarred berserk wolf continued, once the primordial pellet essence starts to fuse, it can't be stopped halfway. Otherwise, the refiner will be heavily injured or even die. Jinlan's face was dark, and no one knew what she was thinking. Let's protect Ningyu. What if Ningyu succeeds? Although they didn't trust Ningyu, Scar, bloodthirsty mad wolf, and the others had no other choice but to trust Ningyu. Their fates had long been tied to Ningyu. If Ningyu lived, they lived. If Ningyu died, they died. The two of them spread out their perception and paid close attention to the battle in the distance. Since the battle between the Shield Demon Venerable and Jin Liefei had reached a critical moment, they wouldn't come over to investigate for the time being. This period of time was the last bit of time left for Ningyu. Rumble. The battle between the Shield Demon Venerable and Jin Liefei grew more intense. The Shield Demon Venerable was a ruthless person. Not only did he not lose, but he even grew more courageous. Half an hour later, he killed the other 8th grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin clan. In the Earth Sovereign realm, especially in the 8th grade Earth Sovereign realm, it was tough to kill the other party. However, the Shield Demon Venerable had grasped the secret technique of the Pill Centipede clan and killed the 8th grade Earth Sovereign when he was unprepared. Good, very good. Seeing his companion being killed, Jin Liefei's hair fluttered with a ferocious expression on her face. Today, I'm destined to trample the celestial pellet ridge. Whoosh. Jin Liefei moved. As a peerless expert of the Jin family, Jin Liefei's position in the Jin family was enough to rank in the top 3. This time, he was entrusted by the old ancestor to enter the Void Realm to fight for the fortuitous encounter. For this opportunity, the great ancestor of the Jin family didn't even hesitate to consume his essence blood to refine a doppelganger. If he couldn't bring the primordial Dan essence and the treasures from other places back to the Jin family, then the Jin family's ancestors' injuries would most likely worsen, and he might even be in danger of dying. Jin Liefei took out a jade bottle, exerted a little force in his right hand, and crushed the jade bottle with a cracking sound. Rumble. What was inside the jade bottle was not a medicinal pill, but a drop of blood. A drop of heavenly supreme blood essence. Kai. The drop of blood essence seemed to know its mission. After leaving the jade bottle, it exploded and fused with Jin Liefei. Jin Liefei's aura gradually strengthened along with a series of sizzling sounds. 8th grade Mid-Earth Sovereign, 8th grade Late Earth Sovereign, 8th grade Peak Earth Sovereign. Bang! When this sound was heard, Jin Liefei's aura suddenly changed. 9th grade Earth Sovereign. At this moment, Jin Liefei had forcefully raised his cultivation to the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm after receiving the drop of blood essence of a heavenly sovereign. Although it could only last for a few minutes, those few minutes were more than enough for Jin Liefei. Jin Liefei was confident that a 9th grade Earth Sovereign could kill the Shield Demon Venerable within a few minutes against a pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign. Retreat. The Shield Demon Venerable was decisive. When he saw that Jin Liefei's cultivation had risen to the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm, he no longer had the intention to continue fighting. He forcefully tore through space and fled. Where do you think you're going? At this moment, Jin Liefei would naturally not allow the Shield Demon Venerable to escape. He waved his hand and a massive palm appeared, pressing towards the Shield Demon Venerable. Break. Although he was fleeing at full speed, the Shield Demon Supremacy did not panic. As he fled, he executed all sorts of techniques in an attempt to block Jin Liefei's palm. However, the Shield Demon Venerable had clearly underestimated Jin Liefei's strength. Even if he was struck by all sorts of techniques, Jin Liefei's palm still landed on the Shield Demon Venerable's shoulder. Crack. At this moment, blood splattered as the Shield Demon Venerable's shoulder was torn off. Jin Liefei, I'll definitely pay a visit to the Jin clan in the future. The Shield Demon Supremacy was extremely aggrieved. He was originally stronger than Jin Liefei, but Jin Liefei had fused with the Heavenly Supreme's blood essence, causing his fighting strength to soar. If Jin Liefei didn't possess the Heavenly Supreme's blood essence, the Shield Demon Venerable would have long killed Jin Liefei. Jin Liefei wouldn't have the chance to act so fiercely here. There's no need, because you'll die today. Jin Liefei took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of the Shield Demon Venerable. He formed seals with both hands and attacked the Shield Demon Venerable. Unconscious pellet. At this critical moment, the Shield Demon Venerable did not choose to fight head-on. Instead, he summoned back the unconscious pellet that was fighting the Heavenly Supreme's clone. Although the unconscious pellet had no consciousness, it still obeyed the Shield Demon Venerable's command. As soon as the Shield Demon Venerable finished his words, the unconscious pellet tore through space and appeared in front of him. "Kill him," the Shield Demon Venerable coldly said while pointing at Jin Liefei. "You want to kill me? I'm afraid that won't be easy." The corner of Jin Liefei's lips rose. The appearance of the Heavenly Supreme's clone had boosted his confidence. "Everyone, come back." Jin Liefei roared and summoned the experts of the Jin family to his side. On the other side, the Shield Demon Venerable did the same thing. He summoned the experts of the pellet puppet to his side. In an instant, the scene became strange. Logically speaking, Jin Liefei had just fused with the Heavenly Supreme's blood essence, so he should be killing the Shield Demon Venerable. But now, he did not say a word and stood on the spot with his hands behind his back. No one knew what Jin Liefei was trying to do, nor did they know why he was doing this. Make use of the time to recuperate. Although he had no idea what Jin Liefei was doing, this period of time was extremely precious to the Shield Demon Venerable. He immediately sat down and began to absorb the energy between the heavens and earth. The Shield Demon Venerable needed time to recover to his peak state before finding a way to communicate with the Heavenly Supreme's blood essence from the Pellet Immortal. The Jin family had a Heavenly Supreme, and so did the Pellet Immortal Ridge in the past. However, the Heavenly Supreme from the Pellet Immortal Ridge had left the Void Realm a long time ago. Before leaving, the Heavenly Supreme from the Pellet Immortal Ridge left behind 3 drops of blood essence. The first drop of blood essence was obtained by Xie Yi, who cultivated the Myriad Embodiment technique, and he refined it into his body. The second drop of blood essence was taken away by the Pellet clan outside the Void Realm to nurture the peerless Pellet puppet. As for the third drop of blood essence, it was still under the Celestial Dan Hall. Sovereign's blood essence. The Shield Demon Venerable used a secret technique to communicate with the Sovereign's blood essence under the Celestial Dan Hall. Die. In an instant, Jin Liefei opened his eyes and grabbed at the void with his right hand. A cold light flew out. Chapter 1338. Chapter 1338, Soulstone What? Although Supremacy Shield Demon had been keeping an eye on Jin Liefei, he was still taken aback when Jin Liefei unleashed this cold light. That's because Jin Liefei's cold beam was so powerful that even ordinary 9th grade sovereigns might not be able to withstand it. No wonder you didn't continue to attack. So you were accumulating energy. Demon Shield yelled as he turned around and left. Demon Shield wasn't a fool, and he knew the gap between him and Jin Liefei. Right now, the best solution was to avoid it and wait for Jin Liefei's aura to drop before making a move. You think you can escape? The corners of Jin Liefei's mouth rose into an arc. Soon after, he chased after Han Guang and charged towards the Shield Demon Venerable. Go, stop him. Demon Shield fled while instructing the Dan puppet to make a move, hoping to drag some time for him. At this moment, Demon Shield already felt a little regretful. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have stayed behind to contact the Sovereign's blood essence. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The Dan puppets blocked Jin Liefei's path. The unconscious Dan puppet did not make a move, but hid in the void, preparing to deal a fatal blow to Jin Liefei according to Demon Shield's instructions. All of you, get lost. Jin Liefei charged into the group of Dan puppets and attacked from both sides. Every time he punched out, a powerful Earth Supreme would be sent flying. Jin Liefei did not kill those Dan puppets, since he wanted to preserve his strength to chase after Demon Shield. Whoosh! At this moment, the unconscious Dan Kai hidden in the void moved. But when it made a move, it was shocking. The Dan puppet tore through space and a massive palm slapped towards Jin Liefei's head. The might of the Dan puppet's fist was extremely powerful, and it was a killing blow. Even if Jin Liefei had fused with the sovereign's blood essence and possessed the strength of a 9th-grade Earth sovereign, he still felt a little fearful at this moment. Crack! Fortunately, the heavenly sovereign clone that Jin Liefei had brought along leaped out and blocked that fist for Jin Liefei. As for Jin Liefei himself, he chased after Demon Shield and fought with him. This time, Demon Shield was in a disadvantageous position. In just a few moves, Venerable Shield Demon was severely injured. Worse comes to worst, we'll just perish together. Venerable Shield Demon's body swelled up. Not good, he's going to self-destruct. Jin Liefei's expression changed drastically when he saw Venerable Shield Demon's actions, and he hastily retreated. Formation. At the same time, Jin Liefei waved his hands repeatedly, setting up a huge formation around him. In the array, Jin Liefei sat at the array core with his heavenly sovereign clone at the front. As long as the situation wasn't right, the heavenly supreme clone would be abandoned. Rumble. The shield demon Venerable was very decisive. His body rapidly expanded and finally exploded. The self-detonation of an Earth Supreme Realm cultivator was extremely terrifying. If an ordinary cultivator were to approach it, they would most likely die. On the other hand, Venerable Shield Demon was an 8th-grade Earth Sovereign, so the power of his self-destruction was extremely terrifying. At that instant, the entire Celestial Dan Ridge was almost destroyed. Even a small space like the Celestial Elixir Ridge nearly shattered. Capture. Inside the Celestial Dan Ridge, the Celestial Dan Hall. Jin Liefei had his back against the Celestial Dan Hall with his heavenly sovereign clone at the front, with the experts of the Jin clan at the back. They were bitterly holding on. Boom. Roughly 10-odd minutes later, the heavenly sovereign clone finally couldn't hold on any longer and exploded. One must know that the sturdiness of the unconscious pellet puppet wasn't any weaker than the heavenly sovereign clone. Although there was an array between the heavenly sovereign clone and the unconscious pellet puppet, the terrifying fluctuation still caused the heavenly sovereign clone to disintegrate. When the heavenly sovereign clone disintegrated and the fluctuation from Venerable Shield Demon's self-destruction clashed, the two forces were swiftly neutralizing each other. As time passed, the two fluctuations grew weaker and showed signs of dissipating. However, Jin Liefei did not dare to be careless. The sovereign's blood essence in his body was almost exhausted. At this moment, he was extremely weak, and it was hard for him to maintain the array. If it wasn't for the experts of the Jin clan supplying him with energy, he would have collapsed by now. Hold on for another half an hour. Half an hour later, the fluctuation will completely disappear. Jin Liefei sat at the core of the array as he barked to stabilize the morale of the troops. With Jin Liefei's words, the experts of the Jin family all heaved a sigh of relief, secretly thinking that it was a close call. Although they had experienced all sorts of difficulties in the Void Realm, they did not disappoint the old ancestor. After Demon Shield Demon's self-destruction, there was a palm-sized stone beneath him. The stone was crimson in color and it was extremely dazzling. That stone was the reason why Jin Liefei and the rest entered the Void Realm this time. I'll take that stone and search the Celestial Pellet Hall to find the primordial pellet essence. At this point, Jin Liefei relaxed a little. Even the strongest expert of the Celestial Pellet Ridge was killed by him, not to mention those small fries. Furthermore, those small fries in the Celestial Pellet Ridge were already affected by Demon Shield Demon's self-destruction. Not many of them could survive. Huff. While Jin Liefei was bitterly resisting the Demon Shield Demon's self-destruction, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of turbid air. You refined the primordial pellet essence. Jin Lan widened his mouth as he looked at Ningyu in disbelief. She never expected that Ningyu could refine the primordial pellet essence in such a short period of time. I was just lucky. Ningyu smiled at Jin Lan and said, I don't know what's going on outside right now. Ningyu's voice came to an abrupt stop as he cursed. Ningyu clearly remembered that when he started refining the primordial pellet essence, Jin Liefei was fighting with Demon Shield Demon. How long had it been? Their battle had actually ended, and Ningyu even realized that Demon Shield Demon was forced to self-destruct. Demon Shield Demon was a pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign, a peerless genius in the Celestial Pellet Ridge. Even he was forced to self-destruct, so one could tell how powerful Jin Liufei's party was. It's like this. Seeing Ningyu's doubt, the scarred wolf explained and told Ningyu everything that had happened. I see. Ningyu nodded his head and continued, the Heavenly Supreme clone also exploded, and Jin Liufei was heavily injured. For a moment, Ningyu's mind became a little active. He had already become enemies with the Jin clan, so there was no way to resolve it. If he could get rid of the Jin clan's powerhouses in the Void Realm, it would be of great help to him when he went to the Thousand Leaf Empire in the future. That's a soul stone. Ningyu's mouth was wide open. His eyes were fixed on the crimson crystal and he exclaimed, there's actually a soul stone here? Could it be that someone is trying to break through to the Heavenly Supreme Realm? In his previous life, Ningyu was a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist, so his soul energy was extremely powerful. Therefore, he didn't use a soul stone when he broke through to the Heavenly Supreme Realm. Just because Ningyu didn't use one didn't mean that others didn't. Chapter 1339. Kill. We must get rid of them. Ningyu's face was cold. In an instant, he had sentenced them to death. From Scarred Mad Wolf's description, Ningyu knew that the Jin family had a Sky Supreme. There were only two possibilities for a Sky Supreme to risk entering the Void Secret Realm to fight for the Soul Stone. The first possibility was that the Sky Supreme was seriously injured and needed the Soul Stone to recover. The second possibility was that the peak 9th grade Human Supreme wanted to use the Soul Stone to make a breakthrough. Either way, it was extremely disadvantageous for Ningyu and the others. There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall. Ningyu didn't know when the Jin family would find out that he had killed Jin Yi and the others, but Ningyu believed that they would find out sooner or later. Instead of becoming enemies with the Jin family at that time, it was better to eliminate some of the Jin family's power now. Scarred Mad Wolf, I'll bring you to Jin Liufei later. You and Ferocious Mad Wolf will attack together. We must kill him in one strike. Ningyu said coldly, his tone unquestionable. Ningyu was very clear about the Jin family's situation. Jin Liufei's aura had declined, but he still had the fighting strength of a 7th grade Earth Supreme. As for the other Earth Supremes, they were no longer at their peak. The strongest 7th grade Earth Supreme only had the fighting strength of a 5th grade Earth Supreme. Overall decline. The fighting strength of the Jin family had declined in all aspects. No problem. Scarred Mad Wolf had no choice but to believe in Ningyu. Tick, tick. Time continued to pass, and the scene was a little gloomy. Ningyu was communicating with the law of space, hoping that it could lead Scarred Mad Wolf and Ferocious Mad Wolf to launch a surprise attack. After refining the primordial elixir essence, the law of space had developed some consciousness and even produced a trace of space power. At this moment, he could already communicate with Ningyu about the law of space. Find an opportunity and kill him in one strike. There was only one chance to launch a surprise attack. Jin Liufei would never give them a second chance. Ningyu only dared to do this because the battle had just ended and Jin Liufei and the others were more relaxed. Otherwise, Ningyu would definitely continue hiding in the void and not make a move. After all, the law of space could only deceive a 1st grade Earth Sovereign. As long as the other party's cultivation was higher than a 1st grade Earth Supreme, the law of space couldn't be deceived. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Who? In the formation, Jin Liufei slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, his face revealing an excited expression. Whoosh. Standing up, Jin Liufei's figure flickered as he dashed toward the soul stones not far away. He had gone through untold hardships, even sacrificing his Sky Sovereign clone and his Sky Sovereign essence blood. But as long as he could obtain the Soul Stone, it would all be worth it. After this, the clan should provide me with resources to raise my cultivation to the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm. Jin Liufei's mind wandered, and he even began to fantasize about his beautiful future. Die. At this moment, the void in front of Jin Liufei suddenly split open, and a giant claw darted out from the void. No. Jin Liufei was shocked and immediately fled. But how could the scarred wolf give Jin Liefei the chance to escape? He transformed into his original form and grabbed Jin Liefei's right arm with both claws, and with a little force, he tore it off. Bloodthirsty wolf, I'll kill you sooner or later. Although the bloodthirsty wolf tore off Jin Liefei's right arm, it also exposed itself. Before Jin Liefei could finish his threat, his heart skipped a beat and he hastily dodged. Rumble. At the place where he disappeared, a giant tail swept across, stirring up a cloud of dust. Let's go. Jin Liefei didn't want to continue fighting. He forced the scarred wolf to retreat and rushed toward the periphery of the celestial pellet ridge. Originally, he still had the fighting strength of a 7th-grade Earth Sovereign, but due to his carelessness, he was sneak-attacked. His current strength had fallen to the 6th-grade Earth Sovereign realm. Both the scarred wolf and the ferocious wolf were peerless ferocious wolves. In a one-on-one fight, they could completely defeat a 6th-grade Earth Sovereign. Where do you think you're going? Ning Yu had already come up with a strategy. If Jin Liefei wanted to escape, then the scarred wolf would surround him and the ferocious wolf would deal with the rest. Not a single expert of the Jin family could escape. Rumble. The celestial pellet ridge had become very dilapidated after the battle. The battle had caused the celestial pellet ridge to shake continuously, and there were signs that it was about to explode. Time is of the essence. We have to get rid of them before the celestial pellet ridge explodes. Ning Yu gave the order. Once the celestial pellet ridge exploded, they would be exposed if the Jin family were not completely wiped out. Ning Yu was well aware of the consequences of being exposed. Therefore, he had to get rid of Jin Liefei and the rest in advance. Hearing Ning Yu's order, the scarred wolf and the ferocious wolf went berserk and their fighting strength increased by several times. They were the kings of the bloodthirsty wolf clan and they had the faint bloodline of the ancient giant wolf in their bodies. Now that they had gone berserk, their fighting strength increased by several times. Wait. Just as the scarred wolf was about to kill Jin Liefei, Ning Yu said hurriedly, I have a few questions to ask him. Fat. Don't even think of getting any information about the Jin family from me. Jin Liefei was rather unyielding as he said coldly. Pa. Ning Yu could not be bothered with Jin Liefei's nonsense. He stretched out his right hand and slapped Jin Liefei's face. Kill me. Kill me if you can, Jin Liefei roared in an unruly manner. Catcher. Ning Yu took out the red demon sword and slashed at Jin Liefei's neck. A crisp sound was heard as Jin Liefei's head fell to the ground. Swoosh. With his head chopped off, a cold light shot out from Jin Liefei's body and tore through the void in an attempt to escape. 10,000 Ghost Sacred Flag. Ning Yu took out the 10,000 Ghost Sacred Flag with a thought. Swoosh. The 10,000 Ghost Sacred Flag transformed into the primordial spirit battle body and blocked Jin Liefei's path. What? It's the primordial spirit battle body. Jin Liefei was so terrified that he started to tremble. Jin Liefei would not have been afraid of the primordial spirit battle body even if he was in his primordial spirit state. That was because the primordial spirit battle body could only deal with the primordial spirits of those below grade 1 Earth Supreme. It could not deal with a high-level Earth Supreme like him. However, his primordial spirit was injured by Ning Yu, so he could not exert even 1% of his peak fighting strength. He had no chance of winning against the primordial spirit battle body. Don't. Let's talk. I'll tell you everything. Jin Liefei was scared. As long as his primordial spirit could escape, he would be able to reincarnate into a random cultivator in the future. Jin Liefei was begging for mercy and wanted to live. Although he was begging, Jin Liefei was cursing in his heart. Chapter 1340. A sudden awakening. Ning Yu didn't answer Jin Liefei immediately. He moved and rummaged through Jin Liefei's body. After a while, a blood-red crystal appeared in Ning Yu's hand. A soul stone. What Ning Yu was holding was a soul stone. There were 2 soul stones in total, one for Jin Liefei and one for Demon Shield. I'll get the soul stone sooner or later. Jin Liefei's soul trembled when he saw Ning Yu searching his body and taking away the soul stone. When that time comes, you'll be begging for death. Rustle. With the soul stone in hand, Ning Yu flew in front of Jin Liefei's soul. Why does the Jin family need soul stones? Ning Yu didn't care what Jin Liefei was thinking. He was only concerned about how many heavenly sovereigns the Jin family had. I don't know the details. The ancestor asked me to look for soul stones. Ah, Jin Liefei said. However, Jin Liefei let out a miserable shriek before he could finish his sentence. A third of his soul had been devoured by the primordial spirit battle physique. At the same time, Ning Yu's voice rang out. This is your last chance. Why does the Jin family need soul stones? Jin Liefei was shocked. It seemed that Ning Yu couldn't be deceived. He had to tell the truth. Taking a deep breath, Jin Liefei said, the ancestor is a heavenly supreme, but is injured and needs soul stones to recuperate. Aside from your ancestor, how many pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns does the Jin family have? Ning Yu continued. 3. 2 are the ancestor's sons, and 1 is the current ruler of the Qianye Empire. Jin Liefei didn't dare to be negligent. The Qianye Empire is that powerful. Ning Yu frowned in disbelief. The Great Xia Empire was considered a relatively large empire, but its strongest expert was only at the manifestation realm. It was difficult for them to even produce Earth sovereigns. The Qianye Empire actually had a large number of Earth sovereigns and even heavenly sovereigns. But on second thought, Ning Yu felt relieved. The Thousand Leaf Empire was located in the Pill Formation continent. It was the holy land for alchemists in the entire Sky Demon region. Alchemists from all continents hoped to head to the Pill Formation continent. Furthermore, the Pellet Formation continent was known as the land of buried bones, and there were many graves of Sky Supremes. Is there any young pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign in the Jin clan? Ning Yu asked again. At the same time, he ordered his Essence Soul Battle Body to approach Jin Liefei to prevent him from lying. No, yes. Actually, the Jin clan has a total of 4 peak 9th grade human supremes. 2 of them are the sons of the old ancestor, 1 is the monarch, and the other is the monarch's son. Under the immense pressure of the primordial soul battle body, Jin Liefei hurriedly said, the mission given to us by the patriarch is to find 2 soul stones. 1 for him to use, and the other for the king's son. He's going to break through to the heavenly supreme realm? Ning Yu's expression became extremely solemn. Ning Yu wasn't particularly afraid of the Jin clan's old ancestor. After all, a heavenly supreme with an injured soul wouldn't be able to recover in a short period of time, even with a soul stone. But a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign was different. As long as the other party had outstanding talent, there was a high chance that they could break through and reach the heavenly supreme realm with the help of a soul stone. How troublesome. Ning Yu rubbed his head and forced himself to calm down. Then, Ning Yu looked at the Jin clan members and said, I'll give you a chance to live. Open your minds and let me leave a trace of soul force in your sea of consciousness. You can kill us, but you can't humiliate us. You want us to submit to you? Dream on. A 5th grade Earth sovereign hooted. Kill him. Ning Yu couldn't be bothered to talk with this 5th grade Earth sovereign. He turned to the scarred wolf and said indifferently, swish. The scarred wolf understood Ning Yu's intention. He tore through the void and appeared before the 5th grade Earth sovereign. Bang! He punched out and directly pierced the 5th grade Earth sovereign's heart. It was so much so that even the primordial spirit of this 5th grade Earth sovereign couldn't escape and was destroyed by the scarred wolf. I don't want to say the same thing twice. Open your minds and let me leave a trace of soul force in your sea of consciousness. Live, resist, and die. Ning Yu said coldly. Me. Who's afraid of death? That's right. We're members of the Jin clan when we're alive, and ghosts of the Jin clan when we die. If you want to kill, just kill. What's with all this nonsense? Things were a little out of Ning Yu's expectation. Why were the Jin clan so unyielding? No matter how he looked at it, it didn't make sense. Could it be that the Jin clan had been instilled with some kind of ideology ever since they were born? Thinking of this, Ning Yu's mind moved, and he hurriedly used his perception to probe the most heavily injured Jin family's powerhouse. Because Ning Yu's action was so covert that even Jin Liefei didn't notice him, the heavily injured Jin clan expert didn't notice him either. No wonder they risked their lives. It turns out that they also have the same seal in their bodies. Ningyu finally understood. It turned out that the Jin clan experts had no other choice. They would die if they surrendered to Ningyu, but they would also die if they didn't. They might as well die normally, because once the seal in their bodies exploded, their bodies would rot and they would die. It was extremely cruel. Kill them all. After detecting the situation, Ningyu waved his hand and signaled the scarred wolf to kill them as soon as possible. In fact, there were also injured 7th grade Earth Sovereigns among them. However, the seal in their bodies was extremely special. It was different from the seal in the scarred wolf's body. Unless they killed the person who placed the seal, the consequences would be unimaginable if they tried to break the seal. Yes. The scarred, bloodthirsty mad wolf nodded. Then, he started a massacre among the Jin family's experts. "Ah, I'll kill you. I'll kill you, you devil. Everyone, break out of the encirclement." All kinds of shouts resounded in the area. On the other side, Jin Liefei's heart was violently shaken. The situation outside was very dangerous, but he had no way to deal with it. He could only wait for Ningyu to show mercy. Otherwise, even he would die here. Puff, puff. The scarred wolf's attacks were fierce and fast. In the end, the ferocious wolf also joined the battle. When the two of them joined forces, they were invincible. At the very least, the experts of the Jin family couldn't resist them at all. Whoosh. 10 minutes later, all the Jin clan experts were killed. Seeing the scarred wolf and the others approaching him after killing the Jin clan experts, Jin Liefei shouted, "You can't kill me. I can surrender to you and tell you all the information about the Jin clan. What were you doing earlier?" Ningyu wouldn't let Jin Liefei go. He had to be on guard against the Jin clan. Logically speaking, it was already extraordinary for a clan to nurture a heavenly supreme, because the resources required to nurture a heavenly supreme were even greater than the sky. But the Jin clan had 4 pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns, which was unreasonable. He had to be extremely careful. Chapter 1341. Chapter 1341. Chapter 1341 Evacuation No. Jin Liefei shouted as he looked at the approaching Essence Soul battle body. He tried his best to escape. However, Jin Liefei had only taken a few steps when the Essence Soul battle body caught up to him. The Essence Soul battle body had a fatal restraining effect on the Essence Soul. Coupled with Jin Liefei's panic, he naturally could not withstand it. Soon, the Essence Soul battle body devoured Jin Liefei completely. Buzz. After devouring Jin Liefei's primordial spirit, the primordial spirit battle body underwent some changes, showing signs of metamorphosis. However, Jin Liefei's Essence Soul was not very strong. After struggling for a while, his Essence Soul battle body returned to normal and did not transform. "You can't force it." With a flick of his wrist, Ningyu withdrew his primordial spirit battle physique into the myriad ghost sacred flag. Although his primordial soul battle body did not transform, his combat strength had greatly improved. In the past, the primordial spirit battle physique was a little strenuous when facing the primordial spirits of upper 1st grade Earth Sovereigns. But now, the primordial spirit battle physique could even face the primordial spirits of pinnacle 1st grade Earth Sovereigns. "What do we do now?" the scarred, bloodthirsty mad wolf asked. With such a big thing happening here, he believed that there would definitely be experts rushing over after a while. According to the scarred, bloodthirsty mad wolf, they should leave as soon as possible. Go to the bottom of the celestial Dan Hall. Venerable Shield Demon said that there's a drop of Heavenly Supreme's blood essence down there. After a moment of silence, Ningyu said, "No matter what, we have to get him." The essence blood of a Heavenly Supreme was extremely important to Ningyu. All the warriors of the Jin family had perished in the Void Secret region. Needless to say, there must be a large number of warriors of the Jin family at the exit of the Void Secret region. If they wanted to leave this place safely, a drop of Heavenly Sovereign's blood essence would be crucial, so they couldn't be careless. Go. With a wave of his hand, Ningyu was the first to return to the Celestial Dan Hall. He carefully entered the Celestial Dan Hall. The space below the Celestial Dan Hall had already been destroyed by Kuan-Peng Daoist's self-destruction. After diving for a full 5 minutes, Ningyu finally saw a faint light. Needless to say, there was an 80% chance that it was a Heavenly Supreme's blood essence. The essence blood of a Heavenly Supreme was so dense that it could illuminate even the darkest place. Ningyu wrapped his body in essence chi and slowly approached the light spot. He did not dare to be careless. This was the deepest part of the celestial Dan Hall. One mistake and they might die here. After walking for 10 minutes, Ningyu finally confirmed that it was the Heavenly Sovereign's blood essence. The Heavenly Sovereign's blood essence was contained in a blood-red bottle, and the bottle was surrounded by shackles of origin energy. Open. Ningyu did not think too much about it. Instead, he drew out the red demon sword and slashed at the vital energy chains. Catcher. Catcher. The Yuan Qi chain did not last long, and was quickly undone by Ningyu. Come here. Ningyu made a grabbing motion with his right hand and the blood-red bottle flew into his hand. Retreat. Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person. After obtaining the Heavenly Supreme blood essence, he immediately used a secret technique to escape to the surface. Poochie. At the same time, at the exit of the empty secret realm, a young man suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale. What happened? A middle-aged man beside the young man frowned. It's nothing. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, the young man's lips rose into an arc, killing my clone and stealing my primordial pellet essence and Heavenly Sovereign's blood essence. Very good. I'll see how capable you are. If Ningyu was here, he would have noticed that this young man was very similar to Xie Yi, who was discovered by the celestial Dan Hall. They were practically carved from the same mold. It was obvious that this young man was one of Xie Yi's doppelgangers. Voila! Ningyu did not know what happened at the exit of the empty secret realm. At this time, he was rushing to the exit of the empty realm with Scarface and Bloodthirsty Wolf. Along the way, they encountered many powerful beasts and were surrounded by danger. Luckily, Scarred Wolf and Ferocious Wolf were there. Otherwise, it would have been extremely difficult for Ningyu to reach the exit. Sho. After traveling at full speed for a few hours, Ningyu and the others finally stopped in front of a city. To leave the empty secret realm, we must enter this city and use the altar at the center. The scarred, bloodthirsty mad wolf explained. The city was extremely empty. It could be said that there was no one in sight. The origin of this empty city was very mysterious. Some said that it existed when the empty secret realm was created. Others said that this city only appeared 1,000 years after the empty secret realm was created. Regardless of which possibility it was, no beasts dared to step into this huge city. This was because the city was surrounded by arrays. Any beasts that tried to enter would be stopped by the arrays. If they tried to force their way in, the consequences would be unimaginable. There was once a 9th grade Earth Supreme beast that tried to enter the city and used the altar to teleport out. Unfortunately, that 9th grade Earth Supreme beast was destroyed by the powerful arrays before it could even enter the main entrance. We can only send you up to here. We can't enter this city. Scarred Wolf shook his head. At the same time, he felt very hopeless about his fate. Perhaps after Ningyu left, the Scarred Wolf clan would have to rely on the powerful forces in the empty secret realm. Otherwise, the experts of the Jin family would definitely not let them go. Ningyu frowned and thought of a solution. In fact, on the way, Ningyu had already learned about the special nature of this city. Humans could enter, but beasts could not. Don't just stand there. There's no way. Jinlan knew what Ningyu was thinking. She said, these two scarred wolves will definitely not be able to enter the city. If you force them to go in, they will definitely be smashed to pieces. At this point, Jinlan paused for a moment before continuing. You don't have to worry about leaving the empty secret realm. Just pretend everything is normal. I will beg the Patriarch to protect you. Ningyu was not a fool. He would not believe Jinlan's nonsense. Even if Jinlan was telling the truth, the Patriarch behind him would definitely not protect him. In fact, the Patriarch behind Jinlan might even capture him and probe his secrets. This is going to be troublesome. Ningyu fell into deep thought and quickly thought of a solution. That's not difficult. I'll change the spatial node and teleport you to another place. At this moment, The law of space transmitted its voice to Ningyu. Hearing the words of the law of space, Ningyu was stunned at first, but then a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. The law of space had already developed its own consciousness, and it also had the power of a law. As long as he was willing to help, leaving the altar would be very smooth. By the way, can I bring Scarred Wolf Clan with me? Chapter 1342. Chapter 1342. Chapter 1342. Do business I can, but it's a little troublesome. The law of space did not answer Ningyu immediately. Instead, it pondered for a moment and said, the two of them are monster beasts, and this city has an array formation laid down by a powerful cultivator to prevent monster beasts from sneaking out. Who would be so generous? Ningyu was shocked. To be able to set up such a large formation, the weakest cultivator had to be a Sky Supreme, or even surpass it. You don't have to worry about that. I don't know either. I'm just more sensitive to space. Spatial law had just given birth to consciousness and did not understand these things very well. Give me half an hour. I will open up a node and let the two bloodthirsty mad wolves enter the city through the node and reach the altar. As he spoke, the law of space trembled. Then, a frightening power of law emerged. Kai Kai. The power of law tore through the void, leaving behind a long and narrow passage. However, one could see the end of this passage with a single glance. It wasn't very long. What happened? Jinlan was a little dumbfounded when he saw the tunnel that had suddenly appeared. He looked at Ningyu in confusion. Jinlan was certain that the tunnel that had suddenly appeared had something to do with Ningyu. That was because that cold light had come from Ningyu's body. It's fine. Let's wait here for half an hour. Ningyu waved it off and gestured for Jinlan not to ask any more questions. All right. Jinlan had a lot of questions at first, but when she thought of how terrifying Ningyu was, she opened her mouth but chose to shut it in the end. If Ningyu decided to silence them, the gains would not make up for the losses. If she had to wait for half an hour, then so be it. Half an hour wasn't a big deal to her anyway. Voila. At the same time, at the exit of the empty realm, on the other side of the altar, the space split open, and several figures tore through the void and appeared in this area. Emperor Divine Palace. Originally, there were only a few people at the exit of the empty secret territory. They were all from the Jin family, with the exception of Xie Yi. However, now that the space had split open, a large number of figures appeared. One of them was Emperor God Palace. The leader of the Divine Emperor Palace's party was an old man at the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. Hey, Brother Jin, how have you been? After the old man appeared, he cupped his fists towards the middle-aged man of the Jin family and said with a smile. Me. The middle-aged man called Brother Jin coldly snorted and didn't answer the old man's question. The old man from Emperor God Palace was not angry. He found an empty space and stood there, waiting for something. Voila. Following that, a few more forces appeared. It's just that the cultivation of the leaders of those forces was a little low. There weren't any 9th grade Earth sovereigns, so they behaved themselves. Buzz. What these people didn't know was that in the void not far away, two people were quietly hiding inside. The black-clothed martial artist, the three-legged golden crow. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely discover that these two were the black-clothed martial artist and the three-legged golden crow that had chased after him and Kuan Peng Daois. Jin Clan Head, Jin Xiong, Emperor God Palace Great Elder, Di Wubar. The black-clothed martial artist's eyes were slightly solemn as he murmured, "Why are they here? Did someone leak the news about the Kuan Peng bone?" Thinking of this, the black-clothed martial artist shifted his gaze to the three-legged golden crow and gradually turned cold. "It's not me." Being stared at by the black-clothed martial artist, the three-legged golden crow trembled and hurriedly said, "I just woke up from the Three-Stone Mountain and was with you the whole time. What happened here has nothing to do with me. Well, I have to catch someone and ask him." After pondering for a moment, the black-clothed martial artist's figure flashed and instantly disappeared. Swish. Not long after, the black-clothed martial artist returned to the three-legged golden crow with a first-grade Earth Sovereign in his hand. "Don't kill me, I'll tell you everything." The first-grade Earth Sovereign's face was full of fear as he hurriedly said, "Why are you all gathered here?" The black-clothed martial artist asked straightforwardly. "In half an hour, the altar of the Void Secret Realm will open. At that time, we can all enter the giant city inside to search for fortunes." The first-grade Earth Sovereign did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly said, "Enter the giant city?" The black-clothed martial artist furrowed his brows and searched his memory. After a while, the black-clothed martial artist said again, "The giant city opens once every 20 years. It's been less than 20 years since the last time it opened. How dare you lie to me?" "No, no, no, I'm not lying to you." This time, the 4 major forces joined forces to break the altar and teleport us in. The first-grade Earth Sovereign shook his head and said, "In the past, although we could enter the Void Secret Realm, we couldn't stay in the giant city. As long as we entered the Void Secret Realm, we would be teleported to other places by the altar. But this time, it's different. This time, 4 ninth-grade Earth Sovereigns joined forces and teleported several human sovereigns into the altar. They will stay in the giant city for 3 hours. For the sake of his life, the first-grade Earth Sovereign revealed everything he knew. "Which 4 forces?" the black-clothed martial artist asked. "Divine Emperor Palace, Jin Clan of Chenya Empire, 100 Flower Palace, and Broken Dragon Valley," the first-grade Earth Sovereign answered. "Very good, your answer is perfect." The black-clothed martial artist nodded and said, "Phew." Hearing the black-clothed martial artist's words, the first-grade Earth Sovereign let out a long sigh of relief. His nervous heart finally relaxed. However, as soon as the first-grade Earth Sovereign relaxed, the black-clothed martial artist stretched out his right hand and pierced his heart. "Only dead people can keep secrets." The black-clothed martial artist's eyes were cold. "We need to find a way to sneak into the altar." The 3-legged golden crow shivered. "There are so many advanced Earth Sovereigns outside, and you're just a clone. How dare you force your way in? Don't worry, I have a way." As he spoke, the black-clothed martial artist's figure gradually turned illusory, superimposed with the space, and disappeared. Swish, swish. Not far away, another 2 groups of people appeared. Broken Dragon Valley, 100 Flower Palace. The leader of the Broken Dragon Valley was Spiritual Master Long, a peak 9th-grade Earth Sovereign. The leader of the 100 Flower Palace was Fairy Yun Shi, a peak 9th-grade Earth Sovereign. Behind them were 4 or 5 young men, all of whom were peak 9th-grade Earth Sovereigns. Since everyone is here, I'll say the unpleasant things first. Seeing that everyone was here, the Jin clan's patriarch, Jin Xiong, said in a deep voice, "This time, we paid a great price to enter the giant city. Even the 4 of us used up a lot of blood essence. As you all know, the Void Secret Realm is very special. No one is allowed to stay in the giant city for a long time. The 4 forces have discussed and decided that each of them can send 4 advanced Earth Sovereigns in. As for the other forces, it's not impossible for them to enter as long as they hand over a sunstone." Swish. Jin Xiong's words silenced everyone. Chapter 1343. Chapter 1343. Chapter 1343. Be in trouble. Our greatsword sect is willing to offer a sunstone. The silence did not last long before it was broken by a rough voice. A middle-aged man with a giant sword on his back stepped forward. He took out a white stone from his bosom and handed it to Jin Xiong. As expected of the greatsword sect, they didn't even blink when they took out a sunstone. It seems like they have a deep foundation. Isn't that so? It's said that the ancestor of the greatsword sect has already reached the pinnacle of the 9th-grade human sovereign realm and has the qualifications to make a breakthrough into the heavenly sovereign realm. What? Breaking through to the heavenly sovereign realm? That's right. The moment the ancestor of the greatsword sect breaks through to the heavenly supreme realm, the greatsword sect will become one of the top forces in the pellet formation continent. Seeing the greatsword sect's greatsword venerable take out a sunstone, the surrounding crowd exclaimed. The sunstone was an extremely precious stone. Strictly speaking, it was only slightly weaker than the soul stone. Our fire god school is willing to take out a piece of sunstone. Our evil monarch manor is willing to take out a sunstone. Our Death Valley is willing to offer a sunstone. Behind the Great Sword Sect Venerable, 3 more powerful cultivators walked out. Each of them took out a sunstone and handed it to Jin Xiong. Great Sword Sect, Fire God Sect, Evil Monarch Manor, Death Valley, each of you can send a supreme martial artist into the city. After receiving the 4 sunstones, Jin Xiong said in a clear voice, "Get ready. We will depart in 20 minutes. Sho 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 sho." As soon as Jin Xiong's voice fell, a young martial artist walked out from each of the 4 great sects. Peak 9th grade human supreme martial artists. Clearly, the cultivators sent by the 4 sects were all peak 9th grade human sovereigns. In terms of cultivation, they were on par with the Broken Dragon Valley and the Jin clan. However, all of them were clearly aware that they couldn't compare to formidable sects like the Jin clan, Broken Dragon Gorge, Flower Palace, and Emperor Palace in terms of combat strength. Catcher. At the same time, in the empty secret realm, at the entrance of the giant city, a crisp sound rang out in the void, and the passageway opened up by the space laws gradually became deeper. Not long after, the law of space's voice rang in Ning Yu's mind. The spatial node has been constructed. Now, the 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves can enter. Hearing the voice of the law of space, Ning Yu didn't hesitate. Instead, he said to the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf and the ferocious bloodthirsty mad wolf, "Go in through this passageway. Focus on the altar. We'll be waiting for you there." The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf and the ferocious bloodthirsty mad wolf looked at each other and saw the worry in each other's eyes. Recently, it wasn't that no one had used this method. However, without exception, no matter how strong these beasts were, their bodies would explode the moment they entered the boundary of the giant city. This was exactly what the scarred and ferocious bloodthirsty mad wolves were worried about. "Don't worry, there won't be any problems." Ning Yu waved his hand and said, "All of you should be very clear that you'll definitely die if you don't leave with me. Let's fight." After pondering for a moment, the scarred bloodthirsty berserk wolf gritted its teeth, stomped on the ground, and entered the tunnel. Behind the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf, the ferocious bloodthirsty mad wolf also had a determined look on its face as it followed closely behind. "Let's go too." Seeing the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf and the others leave, Ning Yu grabbed Jinlan's shoulder and quickly rushed into the giant city. Swoosh. The giant city was only a deterrent to the beasts. It wouldn't stop humans like Ning Yu and Jinlan. After entering the giant city, Ning Yu and Jinlan immediately rushed toward the giant altar in the center of the giant city. Clearly, this wasn't Jinlan's first time entering the giant city. Under her guidance, they soon arrived in front of the altar. Activating this altar requires 4 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Jinlan flicked his wrist, and 4 origin crystals instantly appeared in his hand. Jinlan moved his feet and placed the origin crystals around the altar. Then, he walked toward the center of the altar. "Wait." Ning Yu grabbed Jinlan and said in a deep voice, "The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf and the others aren't here yet. Wait a little longer. Are you crazy? Do you really think they can make it here?" Jinlan was shocked. He looked at Ning Yu like he was an idiot. "I have to remind you that activating the altar requires 4 Emperor-grade origin crystals, and I happen to only have 4 of them on me. If we can't enter the altar within 3 minutes, we'll be trapped in the void secret realm until the next batch of people enters. Only then can we borrow a few Emperor-grade origin crystals from them." "Wait." Ning Yu did not waste time talking nonsense with Jinlan. His tone was unquestionable. At this moment, Ning Yu even wanted to leave a trace of his soul force in Jinlan's consciousness to prevent her from exposing herself when she left the void secret realm. However, Ning Yu knew what was most important right now. The most important thing was not to find a way to control Jinlan but to ensure that the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf and the ferocious mad wolf could make it here successfully. "Is there a problem with the spatial laws?" Ning Yu began to contact the spatial laws to find out what was going on. "There's an accident. It might take a few minutes for those 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves to make it here smoothly," the spatial laws said. In fact, the spatial laws were a little anxious. This was the first time he was doing something for Ning Yu since he was born. The reason why he was so proactive at the beginning was that he wanted to use Ningyu to obtain more primordial pill essence. Generally speaking, rare treasures like the primordial pill essence were indispensable for the spatial laws to evolve. If he messed up the first time he helped Ningyu, even if Ningyu obtained the primordial pill essence again, he might not necessarily give it to him. Therefore, the spatial laws were even more anxious than Ningyu. Drip. Time passed quickly. Soon, a minute had passed. Ningyu's expression was devoid of emotion. There was no change in his expression. Although Ningyu's expression did not change, Jinlan was extremely worried. Jinlan even made up her mind that once the time was up, she would enter the altar at all costs and leave this place. Drip. In the blink of an eye, 2 minutes passed. Ningyu still did not move, but Jinlan moved his feet and slowly approached the altar. Ningyu saw Jinlan's little action, but Ningyu did not say anything. After all, Jinlan was only a 7th grade human supreme. It would be very difficult to enter the altar under his nose. Time was still passing quickly. The 3-minute countdown was about to end, but the scarred mad wolf and the others were still in the space and had not appeared. "It'll be too late if we don't leave now," Jinlan shouted, hoping to wake Ningyu up. However, Ningyu's expression was still the same. There was no change in his expression. 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Just when there were 2 seconds left, Jinlan suddenly took out a scroll and threw it at Ningyu. Chapter 1344. Chapter 1344. Chapter 1344 Secrets of the Kim Family Rumble. However, before Jinlan could rush into the altar, a golden light shone brightly around the altar. Swish, swish, swish. Following that, the space above the altar suddenly split open, and several figures rapidly flew out from the spatial crack. What? The sudden change caused Jinlan's expression to change drastically. He could not help but cry out. Looking carefully, there were a total of 16 martial artists around the altar. These 16 martial artists were clearly divided into 5 camps. The reason why Jinlan was shocked was because the cultivation of these cultivators were all at the pinnacle 9th grade sovereign realm. Moreover, Jinlan had seen a few of them before. Go! Jinlan's mind raced. Without any hesitation, she immediately turned around and flew toward Ningyu. I can't believe it. After flying a few steps, Jinlan came to a stop and even cursed. The reason Jinlan had such a reaction was because Ningyu had already disappeared from her sight. Whoosh! Since Jinlan could see the Jin family could naturally see Jinlan as well. The other forces did not linger around the altar. They knew what their mission was, so they spread out as soon as they appeared, searching for opportunities in the city. Before entering the giant city, their respective ancestors had personally warned them. There was a secret to cultivating to the Earth Supreme stage in the giant city. As long as they could find something in the giant city, they could even raise their cultivation to the 1st grade Earth Supreme realm before leaving. Although they were all geniuses at the pinnacle of 9th grade Sovereign Realm, they were only a step away from advancing to 1st grade Earth Sovereign Realm. However, this threshold was not so easy to cross. Since ancient times, how many outstanding geniuses had been trapped at this barrier and were unable to advance their entire lives? Now that they had a chance to advance to the Earth Sovereign Realm, how could they let it go? As for the people of the Jin family, their thoughts were very simple. They had a backup plan and were fearless. Even if the other sects obtained great fortunes, they wouldn't have any reaction because those fortunes were destined to belong to the Jin family. Haha, Jinlan, why are you here? The 4 peak 9th grade human supremes of the Jin family walked toward Jinlan together. Although the 4 experts of the Jin clan were all pinnacle 9th grade sovereigns, the other 3 were surrounding a yellow-haired young man. Obviously, this yellow-haired young man was the leader of the 4 warriors from the Jin family. The yellow-haired man smiled and looked at Jinlan in confusion. He said, 3 days ago, you entered the Void Mystery Realm with Jin Yemeng. Why didn't I see her? Humph. Golden Rock, what do you mean by this? How could Jinlan not know what the yellow-haired man meant? Her expression changed, and she snorted coldly. Although I entered the empty pocket realm with Jin Yemeng, you should know very well that once we leave the giant city, we will be randomly transported to different areas. How would I know when Jin Yemeng will return? Don't be angry. A beautiful girl like you won't look good if you're angry. The Golden Rock shrugged and said, you entered the city earlier than us, so I'm afraid you've obtained many benefits here, right? Whether I've obtained benefits or not has nothing to do with you, Jin Lan said in a deep voice. Jin Lan spoke in a low voice, my grandfather personally sent me into the Void Secret Realm. You should be aware of the consequences if I encounter any danger here. Swish. The expressions of the Golden Rock and the others instantly darkened when they heard Jin Lan's words. In the Chenye Empire, the Jin clan was very, very big. Although the Chenye Empire was controlled by Golden Rock's bloodline, Jin Lan's bloodline was not to be underestimated. Especially Jin Lan's grandfather, who had been a half-step Sky Supreme decades ago. After so many years, it was rumored that he had already become a Sky Supreme. The weight of a Sky Supreme was very heavy, enough to make Golden Rock not dare to cause trouble. Let's go. After glaring at Jin Lan, Golden Rock waved his hand and quickly left with the other 3 warriors from the Jin clan. However, no one noticed that before Golden Rock left, a cold light suddenly flew out of his sleeve. The cold light was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, it disappeared into Jin Lan's hair. Phew. Golden Rock only let out a long sigh when he was far away. To be honest, Jin Lan was not sure if he could fool Golden Rock. Decades ago, he was indeed a half-step Sky Supreme, and he was the warrior with the highest chance of becoming a Sky Supreme in the entire Chenye Empire. However, something happened recently that put his bloodline in the eye of the storm. 3 years ago, her grandfather took the initiative to break through to the Sky Supreme level, but something happened. Although he had managed to survive, he had also suffered a fatal injury. He needed a soul stone to recover smoothly. It seems that Golden Rock's ancestor didn't spread such an important matter. Jin Lan took a deep breath and said, I have to find Ningyu and work with him to find a way to obtain a soul stone in the giant city. In an instant, Jin Lan made up his mind. He had to work with Ningyu. You need a soul stone, and so does the Jin clan. Tell me what's going on. At that moment, the void beside Jin Lan suddenly split open. Then, a huge hand reached out and grabbed Jin Lan. Swish. This change was clearly beyond Jin Lan's expectations. She did not expect Ningyu to be so bold. For a moment, she did not react. Before long, Jin Lan appeared in a house that wasn't too spacious. Creak. At that moment, the door was pushed open, and Ningyu slowly walked in. Speak. Tell me everything. If you dare to hide anything, I can guarantee that you will regret it. Ningyu walked up to Jin Lan and asked, why do you need a soul stone? Why do I need a soul stone? Jin Lan played dumb and said, I don't need a soul stone. It's Jin Yi and the others who need one. Haha, looks like you won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. With a smile, Ningyu flicked his wrist and a soul stone appeared in his hand. What? Seeing the soul stone in Ningyu's hand, Jin Lan cried out, her face full of shock. The reason why Jin Lan had such a big reaction was because she did not know that Ningyu had obtained 2 soul stones back at Celestial Alchemy Hall. If she had known, she would not have fallen out with Ningyu. Instead, she would have stood firmly on Ningyu's side. After all, whether her grandfather could recover completely depended on the soul stone. Sell this soul stone to me. I'm willing. Jin Lan clenched her teeth and said, I'm willing to pay anything. I don't want to say the same thing a second time. Ningyu shook his head. He did not want Jin Lan to pay anything. He just wanted to know the specific situation of the Jin clan. He had not even arrived at the Thousand Leaf Empire, and he had already inexplicably offended the Jin clan. Paper could not contain fire. One could imagine the consequences once the Jin clan found out what happened in the Void Secret Realm. Chapter 1345. Chapter 1345. Chapter 1345. The Golden Rock arrive. Alright, I'll tell you everything. When Jin Lan saw the change in Ningyu's expression, he knew Ningyu was angry. She had personally witnessed Ningyu's combat strength. If she were to offend Ningyu at this time, she would not be able to bear the consequences. After sorting out his thoughts, Jin Lan said, There are a total of 3 bloodlines in the Chenya Empire's Jin clan. One of them controls the Chenya Empire, which is the bloodline that Jin Yi and Jin Liefei are in. They control everything in the Chenya Empire. The reason why they can control the Thousand Leaves Empire is because their ancestor has long since become a Sky Supreme. He's extremely powerful. The other bloodline has the highest cultivation at the quasi-heavenly sovereign realm. They're weaker than Jin Yi's bloodline, but they're not weak either. They control a massive city in the Thousand Leaf Empire, the Guanshan city. In our bloodline, the highest cultivation is a quasi-heavenly supreme, and we're the weakest amongst the 3 bloodlines of the Jin clan. Jin Lan spoke slowly and told Ning Yu many secrets about the Jin family. However, Ning Yu knew that Jin Lan would definitely not tell him the most confidential information. Ning Yu did not want to know any deeper secrets. What he wanted to know was whether Jin Lan's patriarch was injured or not, and if there was a chance that he could stand on the same side as him. Jin Lan knew very well that Ning Yu would definitely not be satisfied with what she said. Gritting his teeth, Jin Lan continued, "The reason why I want the Soul Stone is because my grandfather failed to reach the Sky Supreme realm. He's fallen ill, and I need the Soul Stone to recover." After saying that, Jin Lan stared intently into Ning Yu's eyes, trying to figure out something from Ning Yu's eyes. But Jin Lan was disappointed. Ning Yu's expression did not change at all. "The Soul Stone is very precious. What price are you willing to pay?" After pondering for a moment, Ning Yu said, "If you can take out the corresponding treasures, I might consider giving you the Soul Stone." Jin Lan said solemnly, "As long as you give me the Soul Stone, I can guarantee your safety in the Thousand Leaf Empire from now on. No one will dare to kill you." At this moment, Jin Lan had to stand firmly behind Ning Yu. Because if he hesitated, Ning Yu would change his mind. Catcher. Suddenly, the door was blasted open by a huge force. "Ha ha ha. Looks like the thing Patriarch gave me is really useful. I really found you by searching for your aura." Before the person arrived, his wild laughter could be heard. Swish 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 swish. Then, 4 figures entered the room. "It's you." When Jin Lan saw these 4 figures, his expression changed drastically. These 4 figures were none other than the 4 young warriors of the Jin family, Jin Peng and the others. "Of course it's us." The corner of the rock's lips curled up as his gaze landed on Ning Yu. "Young man, I didn't think you would have the Soul Stone. Hand it over and I will spare your life. Who do you think you are? You're not fit to talk to me like that." Ning Yu's expression was dark as he spoke coldly. "Young man, you're too arrogant." Before Jin Peng could reply, a pinnacle grade 9 sovereign beside him suddenly rushed out and threw a punch at Ning Yu. Facing the approaching figure, Ning Yu's expression did not change. He stood where he was without any reaction. This action of Ning Yu made the other 2 experts of the Jin family laugh loudly. "Ha ha ha, Jin Zhon, you have to teach him a lesson and let him know how powerful you are." "That's right. An initial grade 7 sovereign actually looks down on you. Looks like you don't have much power in the Thousand Leaf Empire." Being ridiculed by his 2 companions, the young man called Jin Zhon coldly snorted and said, "Young man, I won't kill you. I will only beat you until you vomit blood." Swish. Jin Zhon's speed was very fast. Almost in an instant, he arrived before Ning Yu. His right hand clenched into a fist and suddenly punched out. Catcher. In the next instant, a crisp sound rang out. Swish. Then, a figure rapidly retreated, slamming heavily into the wall, and finally fell to the ground with his face on the ground. Rustle. The sudden change caused the 2 young cultivators of the Jin family and even Jin Peng to widen their eyes with disbelief on their faces. Because the one that lost wasn't Ning Yu, but Jin Zhon. In an instant, the entire place turned silent. Arg. After a brief silence, Jin Zhon raised his head and yelled, "I'll kill you. I'll tear you apart. I'll tear you into pieces." Jin Zhon was furious. He was a pinnacle grade 9 sovereign, a peerless genius of the Jin family's younger generation. In order to be arrogant, he had only used 50% of his strength in that move earlier. Originally, he thought that with 50% of his strength, he could easily heavily injure Ning Yu. Who would have thought that he would fail miserably? Great Zhon Fis. Slapping his hands on the ground, Jin Zhon rapidly shot out. Waving his right hand, terrifying energy coiled around it. Jin Zhon punched out, bringing along violent energy gales. Careless, Jin Zhon was definitely careless. That punch just now, Jin Zhon only used 50% of his strength. This punch, Jin Zhon used 100% of his strength. That brat will definitely be heavily injured, even turning into an idiot. Great Zhon Fist was Jin Zhon's famed consummate skill. Even in the pill formation continent, Jin Zhon could rely on the Great Zhon Fist to gain a place. There shouldn't be any problems this time. Jin Peng's eyes were deep, staring fixedly at Ning Yu. He wanted to see if Ning Yu could stir up any waves again. Poochie. What happened next left Jin Peng dumbfounded on the spot. Only to see Jin Zhon fly out once more, his body smashing heavily into the wall, even smashing through the wall. Fresh blood spurted out, Jin Zhon's aura grew weak, feeling like he would stop breathing at any moment. Brat, you're courting death. Seeing Jin Zhon's miserable state, Jin Peng could no longer remain calm. He knew that he had met his match. However, Jin Peng did not fear any opponent. His figure flashed, quickly charging towards Ning Yu, wanting to take down Ning Yu with lightning-quick method. Only then could he alleviate his declining situation and regain face for the Jin family. Facing Jin Peng's attack, Ning Yu still had that appearance, calm and collected, not even having the intention of making a move. To actually dare look down on Jin Peng, you will, what? Even though Jin Zhon was blasted back, his gaze always remained on Ning Yu. He wanted to see Ning Yu's miserable state, wanted to see Ning Yu's situation when he was defeated by Jin Peng. Crack. Unfortunately, before Jin Peng could reach Ning Yu's side, the void above his head suddenly split open. Then, a giant palm appeared, directly grabbing Jin Peng's neck. The palm exerted force slightly, breaking Jin Peng's neck. Swoosh. Jin Peng's soul wanted to escape, quickly fleeing. Ning Yu suddenly brought out his soul battle body, devouring Jin Peng's soul as well. That's an Earth Sovereign. Jin Peng's quick death left the other 3 pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns of the Jin family dumbfounded. Even someone as powerful as Jin Peng was easily killed, not to mention them. Chapter 1346. Chapter 1346. Chapter 1346. All dead at the entrance of the empty secret realm. Although only the 8 great forces had the right to send their geniuses into the giant city, the rest of the forces did not leave. Everyone wanted to see if these geniuses could successfully advance to the Earth Sovereign realm. One should know that the geniuses who entered the giant city this time were the most outstanding talents of the major forces. In a certain sense, they represented the potential and strength of the younger generation of the major forces. For a long time, the 4 great forces had been competing with each other, and no one was willing to submit to the other. Perhaps, after today, the 4 forces would have a preliminary ranking. Jin Xiong, I heard that your Jin family's ancestor has prepared very well for this trip to the giant city. The first to speak was the Broken Dragon Valley's spiritual master Duanlong. Duanlong Daoist was extremely powerful, and there were rumors that he would break through to the Heavenly Supreme Realm in the near future. If Daoist Duanlong succeeded in reaching the Heavenly Sovereign Realm, then the balance between the 4 forces would be broken. 4 of the top 10 young geniuses of the Broken Dragon Valley have come this time. Jin Xiong didn't want to be outdone. He put on a fake smile and said, in our Jin family, except for Jin Peng, who can barely be ranked in the top 10 of the younger generation of the Jin family, the other 3 juniors are all outside the top 20. Puff. Hearing Jin Xiong's words, the surrounding martial artists nearly spat out a mouthful of old blood. The corner of Daoist Master Duanlong's mouth twitched. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Jin Xiong. Although Jin Peng's strength could not be ranked in the top 3 of the Jin family's younger generation, it was enough to be ranked in the top 4. It was far from what Jin Xiong had said, barely making it into the top 10. As for the other 3 geniuses, they were all ranked within the top 15 of the Jin clan. I wonder if those juniors managed to find any fortuitous encounters inside. D.I. Wubar's expression was indifferent as he said, the huge city is unpredictable. If it wasn't for the fact that it has a fatal pressure on us, I would even want to go in and take a look. You want to enter the giant city? Jin Xiong curled his lips. If even those with 1 foot in the heavenly supreme realm could enter the giant city, then it wouldn't be called the giant city. Hee hee. Di Wuba smiled but did not say anything. Being openly mocked by Di Wuba, Jin Xiong's expression turned ugly. However, Jin Xiong chose to endure it. Just you wait, Peng Er is strong. This time, the geniuses of your sects will be. The corners of Jin Xiong's mouth curled up as he spoke sinisterly. Catcher. However, before Jin Xiong's voice could fade, a clear voice rang out. Whoosh. The originally quiet area was attracted by this crisp sound. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. A 5th-grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin clan widened his eyes with fear written on his face. What is it? How can you not respect your elders? What a scandal. Jin Xiong berated with a cold tone. There were so many sects here. If he showed such an expression here, he wouldn't be losing face, but the Jin family's face. Patriarch, Jin Peng, Jin Peng. The Jin clan's 5th-grade Earth Sovereign's mouth went dry, but he didn't say anything. What happened to Peng Er? Jin Xiong asked coldly. Golden Rock's soul tablet has shattered. As he spoke, the Jin clan's 5th-grade Earth Sovereign showed a relieved expression. What? Jin Xiong's eyes widened as he unleashed his aura. No one knew better than Jin Xiong what the shattering of a soul tablet meant. The shattering of a soul tablet meant that the soul had dissipated and could no longer be resurrected. Golden Rock was Jin Xiong's most beloved junior of the Jin clan. Now that his soul tablet had shattered, how could he not be furious? Actually, there was one thing that Jin Xiong didn't know. The soul tablets of the Jin clan that entered the Void Secret Realm not long ago had shattered. Because Jin Xiong had left one after the other, Jin Xiong didn't know that their soul tablets had shattered. At this moment, the Jin clan was already in a mess. Naturally, Jin Xiong didn't know about this. Right now, he was more concerned about who killed Golden Rock. With a cold gaze, Jin Xiong first thought of the Broken Dragon Valley. In the Pellet Formation continent, everyone knew that the Broken Dragon Valley and the Jin clan weren't on good terms. So when Golden Rock was killed, everyone's first thought was the Broken Dragon Valley. Jin Xiong, what do you mean by this? Broken Dragon Venerable's face was cold as he said, You suspect our Broken Dragon Valley without any evidence. Can I take it as the Jin clan's provocation? If that's what you want to think, I have no objections. Jin Xiong took a step forward, and his aura crazily pressed down on Broken Dragon Venerable. Puff. Although Broken Dragon Venerable was only 1 step away from becoming a Sky Supreme, under the pressure of Jin Xiong's powerful aura, Broken Dragon Venerable still spat out a mouthful of blood. I didn't expect you to advance to the half-step Sky Supreme realm. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Broken Dragon Venerable clenched his fists and said coldly, When the geniuses of the Broken Dragon Valley come out, they will accompany me back to the Jin clan to be investigated. Jin Xiong's gaze swept across the crowd. The warriors that he swept across all chose to lower their heads or look away. Half-step Sky Supreme. Although it was only a half-step, it represented a supreme status. On the Pellet Formation continent, Sky Supremes were called Heavenly Venerables, while half-step Sky Supremes were called Little Heavenly Venerables. If a sect had a Little Heavenly Venerables, it could become a first-class force and laugh at the top of the Pellet Formation continent. Good, very good, very good. Being suppressed by Jin Xiong, Broken Dragon Venerable didn't dare to say anything. At the same time, Broken Dragon Venerable's heart was pounding. He knew very well that the 4 peerless geniuses of the Broken Dragon Valley had said that they would teach the Jin clan a lesson before they came here. Could it be that they had gone too far and killed the Jin family's Golden Rock? Broken Dragon Venerable muttered in his heart. He had to use a secret technique to contact the old ancestor to seek help. Crack, crack, crack. However, before Broken Dragon Venerable could use the secret technique, 3 crisp sounds resounded in the area. Plop. Looking at the 3 soul tablets that shattered, the 5th-grade Earth Supreme of the Jin clan's eyes widened and his mouth opened wide. He directly fell to the ground. Broken, dead, broken, dead, Broken, the 5th grade Earth Supreme of the Jin clan, couldn't stop talking. His expression was absent-minded and his eyes were dull. Arth. Such a change was obviously out of everyone's expectation, including Jin Xiong. Jin Xiong raised his head and let out a furious roar. The rest of the warriors looked at each other in dismay. Which peerless genius could be so terrifying? They were the 4 peerless geniuses of the Jin clan. If the 4 of them joined forces, they could even fight against a 2nd grade or even a 3rd grade Earth Supreme, let alone a human Supreme. They could even counterattack if they used the trump card given by the old ancestor of the Jin clan. Who could be so powerful? How could he kill the 4 experts of the Jin family in such a short period of time? Could it be? In an instant, everyone thought of a possibility. Chapter 1347. Kill. Good, very good, very good. As the ruler of the Thousand Leaves Empire and the current patriarch of the Jin clan, Jin Xiong quickly calmed down. The deaths of Jin Peng and the others were very strange. Logically speaking, Jin Peng couldn't have died so quickly with so many trump cards. As for being besieged by everyone, Jin Xiong didn't even think about it. Although Jin Peng was very talented, he couldn't even be ranked in the top 3 among the younger generation of the Jin clan. Taking the risk of offending the Jin clan to kill Jin Peng and the others wasn't worth it. Everyone, I believe that Peng and the others' deaths have nothing to do with you. Jin Xiong swept his gaze across everyone and said, however, in order to clear everyone's suspicion, I have a suggestion. Why don't you say it? Di Wuba said indifferently. Di Wuba's strength was unfathomable. Even though Jin Xiong was a half-step heavenly supreme, he was still fearless. I would like to ask for your help to send a grade 2 Earth Supreme into the city, said Jin Xiong. Everyone, including Di Wuba, fell silent. In the past, only Earth sovereigns were allowed to stay in the city. As long as their cultivation was lower than or higher than an Earth Supreme, they would be teleported out of the city. Recently, the situation in the city had been very special. It could be said that it was a complete reversal. Earth sovereigns couldn't enter, but human sovereigns could pay a huge price. In other words, if Jin Xiong wanted to send a grade 2 Earth Supreme into the city, he would have to pay a huge price. We can help, but you have to prepare the materials yourself. Di Wuba was the first to express his opinion. I'll help as well. We must investigate this matter thoroughly. We must send a grade 2 Earth Supreme into the city. In my opinion, we should send a grade 5 Earth Supreme in to be safe. Then, the other forces reached an agreement. They would only provide manpower, but not materials. Daoist Master Duanlong snorted and didn't say anything. Since everyone is willing to give me face, then get ready. We will send a grade 2 Earth Supreme into the city in half an hour. Jin Xiong's tone was cold. If anyone dares to screw up, don't blame me for being rude. Jin Xiong's last sentence was obviously directed at Master Duanlong. Venerable Duanlong gritted his teeth in anger, but there was nothing he could do. Who asked Jin Xiong to reach the quasi-heavenly sovereign realm before him? At this moment, he could only endure. Sho. At the same time, in the giant city. How troublesome. Looking at the corpses lying in front of him, Ningyu frowned slightly. After a bitter battle, Ningyu finally seized the opportunity to annihilate all 4 of the Jin clan's experts. With the primordial spirit battle body, their primordial spirits naturally could not escape. Among the younger generation of the Jin family, where are they ranked? Ningyu asked Jin Lan. He wanted to understand the difference between them. After some thought, Jin Lan told Ningyu, Golden Rock should be in 4th place. The other 3 are outside the top 10. Jin Lan had clearly seen the palm that had stretched out from thin air. Scarred Bloodthirsty Mad Wolf. The owner of the palm was Scarred Bloodthirsty Mad Wolf. Scarred Bloodthirsty Mad Wolf was a grade 6 Earth Supreme. With him around, Ningyu could do whatever he wanted in the giant city. However, Ningyu did not have that kind of thought. Right now, he was concerned about why Jin Peng and the others had entered the giant city. You should have seen them when they came in just now. Tell me about the forces. Ningyu pondered for a moment and asked. Broken Dragon Valley, Celestial Emperor Palace, and 100-Flower Palace. Jinlan thought about it and answered, I only remember there are geniuses from these 3 sects. As for where the others are from, I don't know. Celestial Emperor Palace, 100-Flower Palace. Ningyu frowned and murmured, enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Ningyu hated the Celestial Emperor Palace to the bone. Back then, the Celestial Emperor Palace had sent experts to encircle him and Ning Hai. Fortunately, Reverend Spiritual Shu had helped them. Otherwise, he and Ning Hai would have been finished. Later on, the Celestial Emperor Palace had sent Die to encircle him. Ningyu had to take revenge no matter what. Come, let's go and meet those people from the Celestial Emperor Palace. With a wave of his hand, Ningyu stomped on the ground and dashed out of the room. Wait for me. Seeing that Ningyu had left, Jinlan's face turned a little ugly. But she had no choice. She needed the Soul Stone, so she could only follow behind Ningyu. Law of Space, your perception is very strong. Can you sense where there are people in the giant city? Along the way, Ningyu constantly communicated with the Law of Space, hoping to find the 4 peerless geniuses of the Celestial Emperor Palace as soon as possible. Swish. Not long after, Ningyu stopped in front of a palace. There are people inside. Ningyu stopped in front of the palace and did not enter right away. Ningyu had never underestimated anyone, even if he had the help of Scarred Berserk Wolf and Ferocious Berserk Wolf. Because Ningyu knew that a peerless genius like Jin Peng must have a trump card. He had to be careful when dealing with them. Boom. Inside the palace, a young man raised his right leg and kicked the wall beside him. Big brother, are you sure the information is accurate? Is it really possible to reach the Earth Sovereign Realm here? The man that the young man addressed as Big Brother was the peerless genius of the Celestial Emperor Palace, Di Chang, a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign. Di Chang did not answer the young man's question. Instead, he unleashed his perception and carefully probed the palace. Before coming here, Di Wubar had said that there was a treasure left behind by the Celestial Emperor Palace in this palace. But after coming here, Di Chang did not find any treasure and even found this place to be in a dilapidated state. You guys stay back. Di Chang took a deep breath and took out a jade bottle. Crack. The jade bottle shattered, and a drop of blood-red blood essence flew out. Sovereign blood essence. Ningyu couldn't help but blurt out when he sensed the horrifying aura coming from the drop of blood. The sovereign blood essence was extremely terrifying. Ningyu had obtained a drop of sovereign blood essence from the Celestial Dan Hall, but he did not try to refine it. But according to Ningyu's guess, if he could refine 1 drop of sovereign blood essence, his cultivation would instantly rise to the middle 7th grade sovereign, or even the advanced 7th grade sovereign. If he could refine 2 drops of the sovereign's blood essence, Ningyu believed that he could definitely raise his cultivation to the 8th grade human sovereign realm. Who is it? Di Chang's hearing was extremely sharp. He noticed Ningyu just as he spoke. Di Chang flicked his wrist and kept the sovereign blood essence. He said in a deep voice, "May I know which force you are from? Please come out for a chat." Since he was discovered, Ningyu did not hide anymore. His figure flashed and appeared in the void. It's you. Di Chang was stunned at first when he saw Ningyu's true appearance. Then, he laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha. You can wear out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find what you're looking for without even looking. Chapter 1348. Chapter 1348. Chapter 1348. Dark Gold Tiger. You know me? Ningyu didn't feel nervous because of Di Chang's words. Instead, he frowned and asked, "Am I that famous in the Dancheng mainland?" "Famous my *SS. Di Chang said coldly. "Your portrait is on the Divine Emperor Palace's must-kill list, and you're ranked at the top. The reward is very generous. Otherwise, do you think a small fry like you would attract my attention?" "All right." Ningyu shrugged. He wasn't embarrassed at all. "I think there might be some misunderstanding between us. Let's try to salvage the situation." Ningyu wasn't afraid of Di Chang, but he was buying time for the Law of Space. Ningyu was annoyed that he accidentally killed the 4 peerless geniuses of the Jin family. Now that there was a chance to capture the geniuses of the Divine Emperor Palace alive, Ningyu had to be careful. Take him down. Di Chang didn't want to talk nonsense with Ningyu. Swish. As Di Chang's words fell, a peak grade 9 human supreme from Divine Emperor Palace moved. His name was Di Hua, and he was ranked 4th among the 4 peerless geniuses of the Divine Emperor Palace. Although Di Hua wasn't old, he was an experienced peerless 9th grade human supreme who had been stuck at this level for a year. Ningyu, there's a way out for you. Today, I'll let you know that there's always someone better than you. As he spoke, Di Hua had already arrived in front of Ningyu. He clenched his right fist and punched at Ningyu's head. Ningyu sighed softly and said, "Alas, our relationship can really be salvaged. Wait till I kill you, then I'll save you," Di Hua said coldly. His fist brought with it a violent primordial chi gale as he punched at Ningyu's head. However, Di Hua's fist abruptly stopped a finger away from Ningyu's head. Crack. Ah! A crisp sound, accompanied by a pig's shriek, rang out in the area. A giant hand suddenly appeared out of thin air and grabbed Di Hua's fist, exerting a bit of force. Di Hua was only a pinnacle 9th grade human sovereign, while the scarred bloodthirsty wolf was a 6th grade Earth Supreme. The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf didn't even use half of its strength to crush De Hua's fist. What? The sudden change caused Di Chang's expression to change drastically. Di Chang had originally thought that it would be a piece of cake for Di Hua to kill Ningyu. Who would have thought that the outcome would exceed Di Chang's expectations? Di Hua had been defeated by a giant palm. Di Chang would never have expected such a situation. Attack together. Kill him for me. Di Chang was extremely furious. He felt that his dignity had been challenged. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. This time, not only did the other 2 peak 9th grade human supremacies move, even Di Chang moved. 3 against 1. 3 powerful geniuses from Emperor Divine Palace besieged Ningyu. Rumble. The moment Di Chang and company set off, a rumble sounded before they even arrived in front of Ningyu. Upon hearing that voice, Di Chang and the others stopped in their tracks and did not advance any further. Shit. Ningyu's heart skipped a beat when he heard the sound and he quickly retreated. Crack. In the process of Ningyu's retreat, the ground where he was just standing cracked open, and a behemoth suddenly rushed out from within. Roar. The massive creature raised its head and let out a roar before its gaze fell onto Di Chang. Hand over the sovereign's blood essence and I can guarantee your safety. Lord Dark Golden Mystic Tiger, we're here to save you. Di Chang's expression was extremely respectful as he took out a jade bottle and threw it to the Dark Golden Mystic Tiger. Evidently, the jade bottle contained the sovereign's blood essence. Attack, we can't let the Dark Golden Mystic Tiger obtain the sovereign's blood essence. Ningyu's expression was indifferent as he immediately ordered. The Dark Golden Mystic Tiger's cultivation was at the 5th grade Earth Sovereign realm. If it obtained the sovereign's blood essence, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Dark Golden Mystic Tiger was even more terrifying than the bloodthirsty wild wolf. The bloodthirsty wild wolf couldn't even fight back against the Dark Golden Mystic Tiger of the same level. Only by killing the Dark Golden Mystic Tiger before it obtained the sovereign's blood essence would they be able to resolve the problem. Rustle. Therefore, Ningyu and the rest made their move. The scarred wild wolf and ferocious wild wolf dealt with the Dark Golden Mystic Tiger, while Ningyu charged towards the jade bottle. You're courting death. Seeing Ningyu's actions, Di Chang's face drastically changed as he coldly barked. Di Chang and company's main mission in entering the huge city was to rescue the Dark Gold Mystic Tiger. Their secondary mission was to think of a way to advance to the Earth Supreme realm. Although the Dark Golden Mystic Tiger was only at the 5th grade Earth Sovereign realm, it could quickly recover to its peak state with sufficient resources. Most importantly, the Dark Golden Mystic Tiger was too important to the Emperor Palace, as it was the mount of the second Palace Master of the Emperor Palace. As long as they could take the Dark Golden Mystic Tiger away, the Emperor Palace could dominate the Pellet Formation continent in less than 10 years. Speed up. Ningyu didn't care about Di Chang's reaction. In short, his target was the jade bottle, the sovereign's blood essence. For this target, Ningyu didn't hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his speed. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Ningyu grabbed the jade bottle and quickly retreated. However, Di Chang wasn't someone to be trifled with. In order to grab the jade bottle, Ningyu had to take a punch from Di Chang. PFFFT. Di Chang was slightly stronger than the golden rock. Being punched in the chest by Di Chang, Ningyu vomited a mouthful of blood. Red Demon Sword. Keeping the jade bottle, Ningyu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and took out the Red Demon Sword. Glancing at the other side of the battlefield, Ningyu felt slightly relieved. The dark golden mystic tiger was fighting 1 against 2, but it didn't gain the upper hand. The scarred mystic wolf and the ferocious bloodthirsty wolf managed to hold their ground. Law of space, think of a way to cut open space. We need to leave as soon as possible. With the red demon sword in hand, Ningyu fought fiercely with Di Chang and the others while he contacted the law of space. If the battle went on like this, the one who would lose would definitely be Ningyu. There was no doubt about that. It was impossible for Ningyu to fight 1 against 4 unless he advanced again. He's so strong. Although Ningyu was being suppressed by Di Chang and the others, in Jinlan's eyes, he was like a god of war. Jinlan knew that Ningyu was strong, but he didn't expect Ningyu to be this strong. The previous few times, it was the scarred bloodthirsty wolf who attacked, and Ningyu only cheered from behind. This time, it was Ningyu who took the initiative to fight the 4 peerless geniuses from Divine Emperor Palace. I have to tell Grandpa to do everything I can to rope in Ningyu. Jinlan secretly made up his mind not to be enemies with Ningyu anymore. He had to rope in Ningyu. As long as a peerless genius like Ningyu could grow up, he would be able to destroy the world. Moreover, Ningyu's combat strength was so strong, so the faction behind him must not be weak. Joining forces with Ningyu and befriending him was equivalent to befriending the faction behind him. Wait a little longer. I'll make a move when Ningyu can't hold on any longer. That way, he will owe me a favor. Chapter 1349. Chapter 1349. Chapter 1349. Fusion. The scroll in Jinlan's hand was her trump card. It was the trump card she had always been fearless about. The scroll was an ancient scroll, and the might of its explosion was terrifying. Even a 9th-grade Earth sovereign might not be able to survive the explosion. However, the scroll was a one-time use item. As long as his opponent could dodge it, Jinlan would have no more trump cards left. Therefore, unless it was a matter of life and death, Jinlan would never use the scroll. The current situation was not dangerous enough for Jinlan. Because Ningyu could still persevere. What a freak! Jinlan muttered as he took a few steps back. Ding! In midair, Ningyu held the red fiend sword as he fought Di Chang for dozens of rounds. Neither of them could do a thing to the other. As expected of an existence on the must-kill list. He does have some skill. Di Chang's expression was extremely grim. After dozens of exchanges, Di Chang had already determined that there was a huge gap between him and Ningyu. If not for Dihua and the others helping him, he would have been killed long ago. How is it? Can you subdue him? Ningyu couldn't be bothered with Di Chang. Although he was fighting with Di Chang, his attention was on the scarred wolf. The dark gold profound tiger was even more terrifying than the bloodthirsty wild wolves. A single dark gold profound tiger could kill several bloodthirsty wild wolves. If he could capture the dark gold profound tiger while it was heavily injured, it would be a rare trump card for Ningyu. We can't. He's too strong, and he has a lot of battle experience. We can only defend, but we can't subdue him, the scarred wolf replied. It could be seen that the scarred wolf was having a hard time. If the dark gold profound tiger hadn't been injured, he and the bloodthirsty mad wolf would have been killed long ago. Damn it! Ningyu cursed inwardly. At the same time, he hurriedly contacted the spatial laws, telling him to cut open space as soon as possible and think of a way to escape. Give me 5 minutes. The indifferent voice of the law of space resounded in Ningyu's mind. Kill. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. Since he couldn't leave in 5 minutes, he decided to take action first. He waved the red fiend sword in his hand and several sword rays shot out, slashing at Di Chang. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 pinnacle 9th grade human supremacies rushed out and stood in front of Di Chang. Kai. The sword rays that Ningyu sent out were blocked by 3 9th grade human sovereigns. I have 3 helpers. How are you going to fight me? The corners of Di Chang's lips curled up as he said sinisterly, this shall be your burial ground. This, 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 good timing. This, 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 I, this, 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 a buzz. On the other side, an illusory figure appeared and gradually became real. What a coincidence, that's just my afterimage. Ningyu suddenly appeared behind the 3 peerless experts from Emperor God Palace. Not good, retreat quickly. Di Chang's expression changed drastically when he saw Ningyu's location, and he hurriedly called out. Pu. However, Di Chang's warning was a beat too late. Ningyu wielded the red demon sword and slashed out 3 times in a row. Without a doubt, Ningyu did not hold back. Each of the 3 swords was aimed at the heart of a 9th grade human sovereign. Seeing that Ningyu had killed 3 of his companions with 3 strikes, Di Chang let out a hysterical roar. Di Chang was filled with regret. He regretted trying to be clever. If he hadn't wanted to show off and ambush Ningyu, the 3 geniuses from Emperor God Palace wouldn't have been killed. However, it was all over now. Di Chang knew that he had to salvage the situation. Fight. Clenching his teeth, Di Chang took out a white elixir from his pocket and threw it into his mouth. Crack. The elixir shattered and entered his stomach. Rumble. Di Chang's aura began to surge. Pinnacle 9th grade human sovereign, half-step Earth Supreme. Boom. Along with that muffled sound, Di Chang's aura had already broken through his limits and reached the 1st grade Earth Sovereign realm. Di Chang was originally only a pinnacle 9th grade human sovereign, far weaker than Ningyu. If he fought with Ningyu, he would definitely be killed. But now, his aura had risen to 1st grade Earth Supreme, and his strength had increased by several times. I'll take your life. Di Chang was more confident now that his aura had increased. Di Chang's figure dashed out and appeared before Ningyu in the blink of an eye. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched towards Ningyu's head with a violent Yuan Qi gale. Di Chang's punch could be said to be the most powerful punch he could execute at this stage. If that punch failed to kill Ningyu, Di Chang would definitely turn around and leave. He would not stay any longer. Do you want to fight me? Ningyu's eyes narrowed as he looked at the approaching fist. The Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness began to tumble and wrap around his right fist. Whoosh. In the next moment, Ningyu bent his knee slightly and punched out with his right fist. The wind from the punch howled and dispersed the air, leaving a vacuum in the middle. Bang! A crisp sound rang out. Ningyu and Di Chang took a few steps back at the same time and retreated to the edge of the hall. Both sides were evenly matched in this exchange. No one could do anything to the other. He can even fight a 1st grade Earth Supreme? Jinlan was shocked. Jinlan knew that Ningyu was strong and that Ningyu could fight 4 people at once, but he did not expect Ningyu to be so strong that he could fight a 1st grade Earth Supreme. That was an Earth Supreme, not an ordinary human Supreme. There was an insurmountable gap between an Earth Supreme and a human Supreme. It could be said that 10 pinnacle 9th grade Earth Supremes might not be a match for a 1st grade Earth Supreme. This huge gap was easily filled by Ningyu. Moreover, Ningyu was not even a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Supreme. He was just an ordinary 7th grade Earth Supreme. This is impossible. No one was more shocked than Di Chang. In the past, whenever Di Chang encountered an opponent he could not defeat, he would swallow elixirs to raise his aura to that of a 1st grade Earth Supreme. This method had been effective time and time again. Who would have thought that he would fail this time and be blocked by Ningyu? I admit that you are strong, but the next move will definitely. Di Chang took a deep breath and said coldly. Definitely my *S. Take this. Ningyu's tone was cold. He held the myriad bone flame in his left hand and the myriad beast flame in his right. Under Di Chang's horrified gaze, Ningyu fused the two flames together. Go. As Ningyu uttered the word go, a bewitching flame roared and charged at Di Chang. Sizzle. 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 Wherever the flames passed, the air was completely scorched, emitting a sizzling sound. What the hell is that? Chapter 1350. Attack. Something that will take your life. Ningyu's eyes glinted with a cold light. He stomped on the ground and chased after her. Although the myriad bestial flame and myriad bone flame were extremely powerful and could contend against a 1st grade Earth Supreme, Di Chang's aura was also that of a 1st grade Earth Supreme. To ensure that nothing went wrong, Ningyu held the Red Fiend sword and injected the primordial energy in his sea of consciousness into it before slashing at Di Chang. Hit the snake where it hurts, don't hold back. Since he had decided to kill Di Chang, Ningyu would definitely not hold back. Ah! The flames in Di Chang's eyes grew bigger and bigger. In the end, the flames suddenly exploded and hit Di Chang's heart. A miserable shriek came from Di Chang's mouth. Rumble. Then, the flames drilled into Di Chang's body and rammed around. Get out! Di Chang yelled, trying to force the flames out of his body. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't do it. Moreover, Ningyu had also arrived in front of him. He waved the Red Fiend sword in his hand and fought with Di Chang. The flames in Di Chang's body were wreaking havoc, but he still had to face Ningyu's fierce attacks. Soon, Di Chang couldn't hold on any longer and was stabbed by Ningyu repeatedly. Di Chang's face turned extremely ugly as blood continued to drip from his body. Di Chang thought that he could kill Ningyu when his aura was strengthened to that of a 1st grade Earth Supreme. However, the current situation had exceeded Di Chang's expectations, and he felt like he was being F***ed. You forced me to do this. Di Chang clenched his teeth and the Yuan Qi in his consciousness surged out, forming a layer of Yuan Qi barrier around him. Get out! Di Chang yelled. He even burned his blood essence to force the flames out of his body. Kai! Kai! Outside the Yuan Qi barrier, every strike from Ningyu caused the Yuan Qi barrier to tremble and show signs of shattering. At this rate, it wouldn't take long for the Yuan Qi barrier to shatter. When that happened, the consequences would be unimaginable if Di Chang failed to force out the flames in his body. Absolute defense. Ningyu did not forcefully attack Di Chang when he saw a protective Yuan Qi barrier appear around him. Instead, he took a few steps back. In order to defend against Ningyu's attack, Di Chang had paid a huge price. This level of defense had a huge impact on one's body. It would be fine if he succeeded, but if he failed, Di Chang would be completely doomed. There would be no chance of him surviving. Roar. While Di Chang was doing his best to force back the flames in his body, the battle on the other side was already tilting. The dark gold mystical tiger raised its head and roared. Seizing a rare opportunity, it swung its front claws and grabbed the back of the bloodthirsty berserk wolf. Whoosh! A large piece of flesh was torn off. Immediately after, the dark gold mystic tiger swung its tail and ruthlessly whipped the scarred wolf's hind leg. Catcher! A crisp sound rang out. The scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf staggered and nearly fell. Oh no! Ningyu gritted his teeth when he saw the scarred wolf and the ferocious wolf's tragic state and secretly communicated with the myriad bestial flame and myriad bone flame. Let's go. At the same time, Ningyu's figure flashed and he quickly swept past the scarred wolf and the ferocious wolf. With the help of spatial laws, Ningyu grabbed the scarred wolf and the ferocious wolf with each hand and quickly entered the void, disappearing completely. Wait for me. Jinlan was alarmed when he saw Ningyu leave. He hurriedly used a secret technique and disappeared behind Ningyu. If someone as strong as Ningyu chose to leave, Jinlan would definitely die if he stayed. Kai. After Ningyu and company left, the myriad bestial flame and myriad bone flame rushed out of Di Chang's body and made a turn in midair before tearing through the void and chasing after Ningyu and company. Roar. The dark gold mystic tiger roared angrily when it was about to kill the two wolves, only to be rescued by a human. However, the tiger seemed to be more concerned about the altar and did not chase after them. Give me the sovereign blood essence. Although the tiger was furious, it did not lose its mind. This hall was very special and it could not leave even if it wanted to. Unless it recovered to the 6th grade Earth Supreme level, it would never be able to leave this hall. Lord Dark Gold Mystic Tiger, the sovereign blood essence was taken by Ningyu. Di Chang was extremely weak at the moment. If it wasn't for the tiger, he would have been tortured by the flames. Even though the flames had receded, Di Chang's internal organs were still severely injured. It would be difficult for him to recover without a year and a half. What? The tiger's eyes widened when it heard Di Chang's words. It said coldly, the sovereign blood essence was taken? What are you doing? I'll give you an hour. No matter what, you must take the sovereign blood essence. Otherwise, I'll swallow you alive. The dark gold mystic tiger was extremely furious. He wasn't worried that the two bloodthirsty berserk wolves had left, because they wouldn't be able to escape from his grasp. He had already left a mark on Scar and the wolves during the battle. As long as he found the mark, he could easily find the wolves. But now, the dark gold mystic tiger wanted to swallow Di Chang alive. The sovereign blood essence was the key to him recovering to the 6th grade Earth Supreme level. Without the sovereign blood essence, he would never be able to leave this place. Lord Dark Gold Mystic Tiger, don't worry. I'll definitely find the sovereign blood essence for you. Di Chang said in a trembling voice. He did not even dare to speak loudly. What are you waiting for? Roared the dark gold profound tiger. Yes. Di Chang did not dare to delay. He hurriedly crawled away from the back of the hall. The main entrance of the hall? Di Chang did not have the guts. If Ningyu and the others were not far away and were waiting outside, wouldn't he be walking into a trap? Ningyu, I'll remember you. Di Chang gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He took out a scroll and carved a line of words with his soul force. A purple flame appeared on his fingertip and burned the scroll into ashes. Crack. At the same time, outside the void secret realm, Di Wubar's face was ashen and bloodless. Not long ago, the three peerless geniuses from the Emperor Palace also had their soul tablets shattered. The shattering of their soul tablets meant that the three peerless geniuses had suffered the same fate as the geniuses from the Jin clan. The only thing that comforted Di Wubar was that Di Chang of Emperor God Palace was still alive and had not been killed. Di Wubar, the geniuses from the Emperor Palace are also dead. The shattering of the soul tablets of the three peerless geniuses from the Emperor Palace could not escape Jin Xiong's detection. In other words, the senses of all the 9th grade Earth sovereigns present could not escape his detection. Jin Xiong's face was filled with doubt. The peerless geniuses from the Emperor Palace are stronger than Jin Peng and the others. How did they die? Cut the CR*P. Di Wubar said coldly. Something must have happened in the city. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many peerless geniuses dying in there. In my opinion. Chapter 1351. Rentry. After reading the information on the scroll, Di Wubar's expression turned colder. He even withdrew his aura. Shosho. Di Wubar's actions caused the surrounding cultivators to retreat, not daring to approach. In the Pill Formation continent, many people knew about Di Wubar. Whenever Di Wubar revealed such an expression, it meant that he was about to erupt, completely erupt. Rumble. Sure enough, after a short silence, Di-Wubar's aura burst forth, soaring into the sky. Quasi-heavenly sovereign. I never expected that Di-Wubar would also reach the quasi-heavenly sovereign realm and enter the lesser heavenly sovereign palace, reaching the heavens in a single bound. Although a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign is powerful, compared to a little heavenly sovereign, it's like heaven and earth. That's right. In the 4 sects, Di-Wubar is a little heavenly sovereign, Jin Xiong is a little heavenly sovereign, Daoist Master Duanlong is a peak grade 9 human sovereign, and Fairy Yunxi of the 100 Flowers Palace should also be a peak grade 9 human sovereign. It seems that Emperor Divine Palace and Jin family are going to suppress the other 2 sects. The discussions of the cultivators did not affect Di-Wubar. His aura continued to rise, showing no signs of weakening. What? Is Di-Wubar trying to break through to the heavenly supreme realm here? Impossible, right? Everyone exclaimed. Di-Wubar's current state was clearly that of a heavenly supreme. A little heavenly sovereign breaking through to the heavenly supreme realm was an important matter in any sect. He needed to activate the sect's grand array, prepare all sorts of treasures, and invite a few sky supremes to protect him. After all, breaking through to the heavenly supreme realm was a matter of great importance. It concerned the rise and fall of a sect, so they couldn't be careless. What was Di-Wubar trying to do? There was no one here to protect him, and even if he succeeded in reaching the heavenly supreme realm, Jin Xiong and the rest wouldn't be willing. If, at the critical moment, Jin Xiong and the others gave him a ruthless blow, wouldn't he be finished? Who? As it turned out, Di-Wubar was not an idiot. Just as his aura was about to reach its peak, Di-Wubar suddenly retracted it and sent all of his aura into his body. Not simple. He's only a paper-thin distance away from the Sky Supreme realm. Jin Xiong's expression changed. He was a little Empyrean, so he knew more about this domain than others. With Di-Wubar's current state, he had a 20% chance of breaking through to the heavenly supreme realm. As for him, he only had a 10% chance. In terms of raw strength, he was no match for Di-Wubar. Something has happened in the city. I suggest sending a 7th grade Earth sovereign in, Di-Wubar said coldly. He was determined to shock everyone to death. A 7th grade Earth sovereign? Hearing Di-Wubar's words, the crowd was first taken aback. Then, they started discussing among themselves. The giant city greatly suppresses Earth sovereigns. Even a 2nd grade Earth sovereign might not be able to survive, not to mention a 7th grade Earth sovereign. The altar in the huge city is very special. Any warrior who enters it will be randomly teleported to various places in the empty mystery zone. Just now, I helped the Jin clan send a grade 2 Earth Supreme in and let him stay in the city. I've already paid a huge price. Will it work if I send another grade 7 Earth Supreme in? Di-Wubar remained silent for a long time. How could Di-Wubar not know about this? However, with the loss of the sovereign blood essence, the dark gold profound tiger wouldn't be able to leave the palace or the city. How could Di-Wubar be willing to do that? Taking a deep breath, Di-Wubar said in a deep voice, "Everyone, please do me a favor. I'll prepare all the materials. As for you guys, just put in some effort." At this point, Di-Wubar had to make a choice. Should he wait here, or should he send a 7th grade Earth sovereign in? After much consideration, Di-Wubar finally decided that it would be worth it to send a 7th grade Earth sovereign in, no matter what price he had to pay. The dark gold profound tiger was the mount of the 2nd old ancestor of Emperor Palace. As long as he could leave the city, the 2nd old ancestor might return. After so many years, the 2nd old ancestor of Emperor Palace's cultivation must have reached perfection. He might even be very close to a higher level. All right. The first to agree was Jin Xiong. After all, Di-Wubar had contributed a lot when the Jin clan sent a grade 2 Earth sovereign into the city. Jin Xiong naturally wouldn't stop Di-Wubar. However, Jin Xiong suddenly changed the topic and continued, "But our Jin clan also wants to send a 7th grade Earth sovereign in. Our Broken Dragon Valley also wants to send a 7th grade Earth sovereign in. Our 100 Flowers Palace as well." Crack. Di-Wubar clenched his fists and cracked them. He was so angry that his nose was crooked. The defense of the city was very powerful. Even after so many years, it could still withstand the powerful attacks of a high-rank Earth Sovereign. 4 7th grade Earth Sovereigns. Do you know what that means? D.I. Wubar coldly said, it means that the 4 of us, together with everyone else, will have to bring out all the materials in order to have a 20% success rate. It's fine. Don't we just need materials? Jin Xiong waved his hand and said, I believe that everyone here is a righteous person. It won't be difficult for us to gather the materials. I hope so. D.I. Wubar's expression did not change much. He took out a few interspatial pouches and said, I'll take the lead. As long as you guys aren't stingy, I have a 50% chance of sending a 7th grade Earth Sovereign in. As he spoke, D.I. Wubar opened the interspatial pouches and set up a small array around them. It was better to be safe than sorry. D.I. Wubar did not want to suffer a double loss. D.I. Wubar began to organize the materials and place them around the altar in a certain order. Give me the sunstone, rootless grass, D.I. Wubar yelled with a grave expression. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Along with D.I. Wubar's voice, Jin Xiong, Daoist Duanlong, and Fairy Yun Shi each threw an interspatial pouch to D.I. Wubar. Whoosh, whoosh. Following that, the figures of Jin Xiong and the rest flickered and each occupied a spot on the altar. After D.I. Wubar placed the materials in a certain order, he tore space apart and arrived at the empty spot on the altar. Rise. D.I. Wubar forced out a drop of his blood essence and sprinkled it on the altar. Rumble. In an instant, a golden light burst out and all the materials around the altar were sucked away by the altar. The 4 of you, come here. At this moment, D.I. Wubar resisted the urge to faint and yelled, when you enter the city, you must conceal your aura and suppress your cultivation to the 2nd grade Earth Sovereign realm. Furthermore, each of you will have 3 chances to make a move. Once the 3 chances are up, you must immediately leave the city. Otherwise, you will be discovered by the mysterious array and killed. The 4 7th grade Earth Sovereigns did not have any joy or sorrow on their faces. There was no need for D.I. Wubar to tell them about these things. They already knew about them. Go to the palace and hand the blood essence to the dark golden mystical tiger. D.I. Wubar secretly transmitted his voice to the 7th grade Earth Sovereigns. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.